Hello and welcome to episode 154 of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo. With me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the yeast that got his wings, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
Hee-haw!
I'm so glad that that's in your notes, because that's also in my notes.
I'm just upset because I forgot to pour my beer, and I was going to do the hand thing too, which I never understood.
Yeah. It's okay. I saw it.
The fucking thing, but still,
is the sound a moose makes. On this week's episode, Disney Investor Day with Bob and Wick, and other news and nuggets. All before diving into our flick of the week. It's a Wonderful Life. But first, Al, what are we drinking?
Jeez, I forgot to tell you all of the notes that I have as well, because that rundown is not nearly sufficient. Not by half.
I figured we might as well cut to the chase and get to the notes. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. I'm like. Usually, I give you at least a few of them. You usually take probably roughly 80% of what we have, and then the rest is
right.
And more. But I think we only got about 30% in there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good episode.
Oh, assuming I don't fall asleep, which is a real danger, or a real fear of mine for this one. This is going to be an easy 3-hour episode.
Blue?
I don't know why I said that. We're drinking Newburgh Brewing Company and Friends Industrial Boss India Pale Ale. It's a collaboration, as are all of the Boss IPA collaboration series beers. This is the one for August. This beer was born here in Newburgh. The logo, it's got a little heart, which I've never noticed before.
Oh, that's interesting, because brewed
with heart. Yes.
With heart. I like
and
that.
Half of the heart.
I like that. It's a great logo. This
is a New England IPA with ginger,
New England clam chowder. I'm sorry, I went to my sister's for dinner last night, and when I rang the doorbell, she asked me for the password, and that's what she wanted me to say. Fair
enough. Password seems aggressive, but it's a New England IPA with ginger, passion fruit, and orange. It's 8% alcohol by volume. I believe I just said right that it was made with Industrial Arts Brewing.
That's right. I thought you said it was made with heart, but that's fine.
No, that's that too. I meant in collaboration with.
Yeah, yes. Two breweries that we're quite fond of.
Yes. Are you particularly fond of Industrial Arts?
I am. I like those wrenches. I'm a big fan of those wrenches. The pocket.
Erector set?
The torque. The
monkey?
The wrench. There's ones that just wrench, right?
Allen.
And Allen's a key, and he needs to get over it.
Oh, I mean, they're keys and wrenches, depending on who you ask. But monkey,
sure.
What is that other?
Sure.
There's another one with like the claw that is like on like a spring-loaded thing. It kind of functions like a monkey wrench, but it's adjustable, and you can use it with like a telescoping arm to reach hard to reach.
What are you talking about? This tool sounds amazing.
I know. I have a really good wrench that I used when I had to take apart that old weight set we had back here, where I couldn't get the arm like to the things, and they were like super awkward angles that the bolts were at.
Oh, I know, the magic wrench.
Is that what it's called in the industry? Is that the industry?
Yeah, I think so.
I have a great wrench back here. Maybe I'll just take a picture of that, and that will just be our episode header like image. It's just
I like it.
Totally sans context. Just wrench on the table.
Naturally.
It's a great wrench.
It's no picture of the beer. No audio, actually. I'm just going to post the image.
Everyone at the Spin Tune and all the Spin Tune Twitter accounts are just going to have all their images. Just this wrench.
Change the profile picture. I love it. I'm all about it. Crescent wrench?
Is that what it's called?
No, that's the name of one.
The Canyon of the Crescent Moon? On the Pilgrim's Path to Alexandria.
Is a vice grip a type of wrench?
What?
A vice grip? What about a channel lock? Are channel locks a type of wrench?
There definitely is a type of wrench that has a vice. I don't know what that was.
Are they pliers?
I was thinking about the one. I have one of those ones that like has the vice thing where it locks.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a wrench. It's not just a vice grip. It's a wrench. And then it has like a spring lock like thing that you can pop it open with.
That's right. I don't know. I'm over it. What else you got?
This is the first time we've had wrench talk. It's exciting.
That's right. It's a new segment. We're going to dive deep on each wrench each week.
We're gonna have a deep.
I think that
one deep dive into a beer every week. One deep dive into a movie every week. One deep dive into a different type of wrench every week.
We're gonna call it Wrench Watch, and we're gonna do a post credits when the Mandalorian's over.
We're gonna have a second credits after Mandalorian, after Mandalwatch, and then it's gonna be Wrench Watch. Do you want to try this beer?
Sure. Was there any more to say about it?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more after we take a sip of it.
Cheers. No, that's it. We just move on. You hear the sip?
You hear the sip, you hear, and then just tell me your first note.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's fragrant. I like that.
Oh, that is gingery. I know, because I had a gingerbread cookie earlier.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that, like, on paper, I approve of ginger and passion fruit as, like, one...
As a concept?
Yeah, as a concept in synergy with each other, but somehow it works. I feel like it shouldn't, is my issue, but it does.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thrown off by the flavor of the beer.
I am jostled by this idea.
It's like, at first sip, it's like, ooh, is that delicious? Ooh, is that a cleaning product? Like, it's not clear.
Is it a cleaning product? That's generally not how you want to describe a beer.
No, I agree.
Don't ingest bleach, for instance, or any other cleaning products.
Why does that need to be said? Oh, you're drinking out of a glass that's also brewed with heart.
Because certain people with very large platforms told the nation at large that they should inject bleach to save themselves for the coronavirus. Despite how stupid the show is, I like to think that our listeners are smarter than that, so...
I would hope so. It's hard to say. I don't know. I might be drinking a cleaning product. The jury's out. But
what was the third flavor? Because there was orange?
Oh, orange, yeah.
I feel like the orange takes a backseat behind the ginger and the passion.
Certainly does. I get more like a orange peel, like that I've chewed on, versus orange flavor.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get more orange zest that's kind of like lingering on the palate.
Yeah,
more than like the actual flavor of it.
Mm-hmm. This is very strange. I don't dislike it.
No, it's definitely good, but it is a unique beer.
I think I'm gonna go 2 thuckles on it.
Okay, that feels right. I would say somewhere in the 2 to 3 thuckle range.
What tool is used to turn a thumb into a thuckle?
I mean,
I think that's
some sort
a whole
of cutting device.
I was going to say, I think that's a whole other podcast on saws.
Saws, knives, axes.
Chisels?
I was going to say chisels, yeah.
Chisels, John Wick, yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page. I really appreciate you, and I want you to know
It's good. We've come back, like, recharged. Anthony no longer has too much jaw. He has the proper amount of jaw.
Hey, I have the right amount of jaw. It's also correctly in line, which was...
You know what? Key.
Very unsettling.
You just wake up and it's just turned at a right angle.
No, yeah, right. My teeth are just going off to the side. No, I woke up and I looked in the mirror. My face hurts, and I'm looking, and my lips are not lined up. And I'm like, huh. And I pull my lips back, and I notice my teeth are not lined up. And I'm like, what's happening here?
Did Kim sock you in the jaw while you were sleeping?
Maybe I was snoring, and she was just like, no.
Slapped the shit out of you, saw your jaw go pop, and it was like, oh.
Yeah. And it just turns around and goes to sleep. Yeah, I don't know. That lasted way too long,
guys,
though.
PSA, spousal abuse is not okay.
It's not okay. So, I don't know what was...
That pause isn't even gonna have any like effect because you have that.
No, that's just for you and me. That's just for you and me. I don't know what it was. The doctor's reaction was also, I've never seen this before, which is not what you want to hear.
What, TMI or TMI?
See, for my entire life, I've heard people say TMJ, and then when I was handed the printout that I'm pretty sure she just got off of WebMD, of things to know about it, the J stands for joint. The TM, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce,
Temporal
joint.
mandibular.
Yeah, sure. What you said, the Mandalorian joint, and and TMD is a dysfunction of that joint or disorder of that joint. And so you don't have TM. No, sorry, you do have TMJ. We all do. But sometimes you have the appropriate amount of it, and sometimes you have too much.
I'm dead serious. I think a small piece of Vicky's soul died when I said that to her years ago. Because she said, I have TMJ. She goes, I said, I don't know what TMJ is. She goes, it's an issue with the joint in my jaw. But at that point, I don't know if I'd gotten a text or if something like fell down or something like that. All I know is I wasn't making eye contact with her when I said it. And as soon as she finished the sentence, something wrong with the joint, I said, oh, too much jaw. And she was just silent for like 5 seconds.
It's so bad and so good. I appreciate it. So anyway, I don't know what that was about, but I was given basically like Advil on crack and a muscle relaxer, which the Advil helped the swelling go down. The muscle relaxer, I guess, prevented me from clenching at night, which seems to be probably what it was. Like stress caused clenching, and then I guess one night it was just really bad or something. Not really sure.
So you clenched your teeth so hard you dislocated your jaw in the middle of the night.
But it wasn't dislocated. They checked for that.
Yeah, I was saying that for dramatic effect. But
I think my favorite part of the interaction with the doctor was when she said, she's like, okay, she had me do a couple things, like move my face a few ways to see if there was like, if I had a reaction to it or if it hurt or whatever. She goes, can you close your eyes really tight? And I was like, okay. And I did that. And then she goes, okay, now do this. And her eyes got really wide. Mind you, we're both wearing masks. And her eyes got really wide. Oh, sorry, she's wearing a mask. I'm not. At this point, her eyes got really wide. So I opened up my eyes really wide because I had previously just closed them really tight. And then she started laughing. She's like, you can't see my face. or what I'm trying to have you do. It was good. It was good. But yeah, I think we're back to normal or normal adjacent.
You can be.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this beer...
Maybe a little excess jaw, but not too much.
Above average amount of jaw, but still within like the proper range of jaw.
Sure. Yeah. If it's a scale, I've got 5 thuckles worth of jaw.
On a scale of 1 to jaw, tell me how it is.
So did you just hear a clickety-clack sound come through the microphone?
No.
All right, good. That's only in my head. Perfect. I just want to make sure that it doesn't come through the recording.
Anyway, to finish up my thoughts on this beer, I'm getting more orange the more I drink.
I'm getting more orange the more it sits there and settles.
That too.
Yeah. Also, I just find it odd that our beers never look even remotely the same color.
Well, the lighting is also different.
I know, but like...
And also different glasses. Mine's a little hazier than...
Yeah, and I like hazy. Did you dump? Did you fully flip over the beer can?
Well, the problem was I only got 95% of the beer into the glass. And so I took a sip. And then I poured the rest of it in, so I think it was a little cloudy on the bottom.
What's the acronym for not enough jaw? NEJ? You had the beer pouring equivalent of NEJ in your glass.
Insufficient jaw.
Insufficient jaw. Is that like a someone with a weak chin? Do you want to get into some news and nuggets? Wait, how many thuckles do you give this thing?
I said somewhere in the 2 to 3 thuckle range.
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry,
I'm you know what? 3 thuckles.
3 thuckles. All right, 2 and 3. I like it. Al, let's get into some news and nuggets. Firstly, why don't you kick us off? Because it sounds like you have something else other than the 2 things I mentioned. So let's surprise me. What do you got?
Oh, you want a surprise? Okay, then I have the perfect topic for you. Let's talk about a recipe for seduction.
I'm not prepared for this.
Did you watch it? First question.
No, of course not. I didn't watch it.
Second question. Why?
Well, 1, no. 2, I thought we might do it as a joke episode one day, but that wasn't going to be this week.
Well, certainly not. But also, like, it's only 15 minutes long.
Yeah, but what is it on?
It was on Lifetime.
Yeah, see, that would require more than zero effort on my part.
Well, listen, all it required of me was to put on the guide and record it, and then watch it.
All right, sure.
It's 15 minutes, no commercials.
Well, I don't have a guide, I do have a record button. I do have a guide. I don't have cable.
But you have Plex, and then
I know, but then I would have to go through the effort of actually finding and downloading that, and who knows what that is going to do to my search engine optimizations.
Oh, come on!
I'm kidding. I'm really just I had no interest in trying. Is what it came down to. If we're being honest,
bad. It's so bad in the best possible.
Fantastic. 15 minutes
because it's 100% intentional. How bad?
Okay, I can get behind that.
That's why I was like, this is going to be really bad, but hopefully they're in on the joke, and they were. So it was honestly, it was an entertaining 15 minutes.
All right, I can get on board with that.
Completely ridiculous. It was literally just a stupid thing they made that probably took them one day of shooting to promote the Lifetime movie that Mario Lopez had coming out that aired directly after it, as well as to promote KFC, who I'm assuming footed some of the bill for the movie.
Got it. I saw a tweet earlier today, someone explaining that their wife admitted that they thought that the tie on the KFC logo was actually his little body, and now I can't not see it, and I think it's the best thing.
I know. I saw that as well, and it's true. I was like, what are they talking about? I looked at the picture, I was like, okay, you know what? Fair enough. Never would have thought that before. Mostly just because I know what a bolo tie is.
Sure.
Not that that's exactly what that is, but it's kind of in that family, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you win this round, Jeanette.
It was ridiculous. It was hilarious. I was listening to the Levitar show today, and Dan prompted them to discuss it. Only one of the guys had seen it. It was Billy, of course. And he literally gives a synopsis for the whole fucking movie on live national radio on ESPN. Is a fantastic sabotage of all things that they're doing on the show as only.
That's great.
And just because none of them had seen it other than Billy, and they're just laughing to him, literally giving them a shot by shot synopsis of the. Well, he can't even call it a movie; it's a fucking short. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
It's this family, and they have this new chef, and the matriarch of the family is broke because the father left them with incredible debts. They were a super rich family with a mansion, and the daughter is going to marry this other rich family, and it was going to solve all their problems, but she must marry for love. And she meets, the young, sexy, but also brushed gray hair and mustache, Colonel Harlan Sanders, the new chef, and he's going to create a secret recipe that's going to change the world. And hijinks ensue.
This is fantastic.
It is.
Part of me, how much of you wants to know, did you Google if it's based on a true story?
I'm quite certain it's not. Honestly, one of the best gags of the whole thing is just someone who looks like Mario Lopez being named Harlan Sanders. Which also made me go back and watch some of the great commercials over the years. Some of the Norm Macdonald ones were really good. Honestly, just as a conceit, I don't think the commercials were that great, but just as a conceit, George Hamilton being the extra crispy Colonel is so phenomenal. That always cracked me up. I
don't remember that.
Oh, no? They had George Hamilton as the extra crispy Colonel, which is exactly what you think. It's just a way too tan Colonel Sanders.
Okay. I think I do know what this is. All right. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure, was it Dolly Parton who was one of them as well a few years ago? There was a bunch of them. There was, I think, Rob Riggle. Yeah, Rob Riggle was Colonel Sanders for a while. But this one, he's playing it straight. He's not pretending to be Colonel Sanders, the way that they were in those commercials where, they were acting like the way that Colonel Sanders did in the commercial or whatever. But he's dressed kind of like him, except instead of wearing that little bolo tie thing, he's wearing, an ascot. And...
That's
or
awesome.
a little sylph scarf or something like that, whatever it is. And he's not doing the caricature, but he's got immaculately combed hair that's very obviously been brushed gray, and he's got the facial hair, but it's not white. You know what I mean?
Right. so stupid.
He's wearing like a too tight white shirt, button-down shirt that's like a t-shirt, and so you can see like his biceps in it, and like he's like holding a clipboard and he's clearly flexing his like biceps. Like,
oh my god. Oh my goodness. It's a one wardrobe malfunction away from a porno.
Yeah.
No, a porn. How did we say this last week? That's great. So it was worth your 15.
Oh, it's absolutely worth your 15. It is the exact right amount of time. Like, honestly, I'm not even joking. If all Lifetime movie things or whatever were this, I would watch them because it is hysterical because it's so bad. But it's not fucking absurd at 90 minutes long. It's 15 minutes because there isn't enough story to carry. Like, it has the same amount of story and plot and dialogue as those movies do. But in 1/6 the time or whatever it is.
Right. With like 100% less establishing shots.
Yes! There was like one establishing shot.
That's awesome. I'm glad you watched it though. That's awesome. I've got one here. This came into us 2 weeks ago, I think. I think it might have been like very, very close to when we were originally supposed to record. But did you watch that Nobody Red Band trailer? I wasn't sure if you sent it or if Brian sent it.
Which one was that?
That's the Bob Odenkirk as John Wick, basically.
I didn't see the Red Band. I saw the Green Band trailer. I didn't watch the Red Band one, but I saw one on TV a couple days later. So I'm kind of familiar with what you're going to discuss.
That's fine. I am all in on this movie.
I didn't know if it was supposed to be a joke.
I don't think it is.
I know, but the way it started, I thought it was supposed to be a joke. I thought it was supposed to be A Recipe for Seduction, but John Wick with Bob Odenkirk.
Right.
And
no, it's just Bob Odenkirk as a badass.
Which I don't understand because he is the least physically intimidating person who's attempted any of these types of movies that we've seen this renaissance for the last decade plus, with Liam Neeson and Kevin Costner and well, honestly, Keanu Reeves and a couple of like other actors over the course of the years.
Sure.
Where it's older guys who should not be kicking everyone's ass, who are kicking everyone's ass, and like your mileage is going to vary with that. Some of them are pretty good, some of them are pretty bad. I think I'm having trouble suspending disbelief because he's so small and slight.
I think they're going to play the whole thing up through the marketing material and through the entire runtime of the movie where you know who he is, he's a very funny guy, and during the whole thing they're going to take it so seriously that you're going to be like, wait, is it a joke or isn't it? And that's going to be the whole gag. I think that's what this whole thing is.
The thing is, he is a really good actor, but this is like the one thing he can't pull off convincingly to me right now.
Well, he was doing a pretty good job in the Red Band trailer up until the "Give me the kitty cat bracelet" line. that was a little hard to take seriously, but it looks fun. It looks like a really fun movie.
It does look like it's fun, which is kind of why I was wondering if it was intended to be a joke at first.
It's a very February movie.
Well, right now, that's the only movie that we're about to have, basically. Because there was that shitty movie with Russell Crowe earlier in like the summer.
Oh, stop. How dare you even give that credit as being a movie?
Well, whatever. I mean, I didn't see it. All I know is that's the type of thing that would be dumped in February, typically.
That's true. That's true. Oh, God. That movie gave me the willies. The trailer for it. Not even the movie. I didn't see the movie. There's no way in hell. Although I'll have to consult Jesse. I would assume that movie would land squarely in the bad movie night repertoire.
Would he really subject himself to that 4 times?
I mean, he has done with worse. So,
well, we don't know it was worse.
Well, actually, that's true. There's only one way to find out, I guess.
Is to watch it 4 times.
That's right. Jesse, keep watching this. Anyway, I'm excited about that. That's like February 26th or something.
I mean, listen, there's nothing else.
Who knows?
So, like, I'll probably watch it if it's available without me having to go to a movie theater.
That's right.
Speaking of which, we can do Tenet soon.
That's true. I have to actually pick up. I think that was out this week, right?
I have
to pick that up. Yeah, I think it might have been yesterday. I'll have to pick that up.
It's usually Tuesdays, right? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. Do you want to do any other news and nuggets before diving into Investor Day? Do you want to split Investor Day up? How do you want to do this?
I mean, thematically, it probably makes sense to do it all together. I would worry that it slogs, but
Sure.
it does make sense to kind of get it all out in one.
All right. Do you want to do that now or do that at the end of News and Nuggets?
Let's do one more newer nugget because I still have a couple other things.
Okay. Get it.
How about... Oh, God. Frank Herbert's son visited Dune set and said it will, quote, forever be the definitive adaptation.
Okay.
Well, I would think that's positive considering both of us are cautiously excited for this movie.
Sure. That doesn't change anything for me, honestly. I just, it will be what it is when we see it.
Well, sure.
It's not the most ringing endorsement. Son of Guy says good.
Well, I mean, he could have come out and said, this is a fucking travesty. They've embarrassed my father's legacy.
That's true. They could have said that, and I probably would have had the same reaction.
Well, no.
I was like, there's no way that this is more of a tarnishing legacy than the other movie.
Maybe, I don't know. There was a couple of quotes in here.
Lord of the Rings beginning, Al.
I was very impressed by the trailer, and I was thrilled to actually see the set in Budapest last year, where my wife and I watched the filming of several scenes. This is a really big movie, a major project that will forever be considered the definitive film adaptation of Frank Herbert's classic novel. Fans are going to love this movie. Denis Villeneuve is the perfect director to do Dune, which is kind of what we had said at the time when he was tapped to direct it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm as excited as I was before the story. That's really what I'm getting at.
Hey, at least you didn't have negative excitement after the story.
That's true. I wouldn't want to have, what is it, ISE? I'm sorry. Give me another one. You got another one? Your nuggets are pretty good today. What do you got?
Spider-Man 3 bringing back Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus. Multiple peanut butters.
Okay.
The way I quoted it in my notes was Spider-Verse Redux because
I was to say out of the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. The amazing Andrew Garfield will be back, as will Kirsten Dunst's MJ from Sam Raimi's original trilogy. I'm having trouble with the quick scroll on my keyboard, so I have to actually literally click.
Awesome.
No, it's not.
Just get a new computer already.
I'm trying to hold off. What's a spoiler? It's a question worth asking these days. This is on Collider, by the way. As more and more comic book movies is first reported... That is terrible grammar. As more and more comic book movie news is first reported by fan-driven blogs drawing from leaked set photos. For example, is Alfred Molina's oft-rumored and now confirmed return as Dr. Octopus in the next Spider-Man movie a spoiler? Will the character appear in the film's marketing materials, or is return a, quote, reveal in the script? I won't pretend to know, but what I do know is that the constant drip, drip, drip of comic book movie news sure has made the movies themselves feel anticlimactic. But if that's what the people want, then who am I to argue?
I think that's a fair assessment.
Sure, I just didn't realize we were getting analysis in this article. Because guess what? They're all coming back. Everyone. Just like Jamie Foxx's Electro, Andrew Garfield will be back, and if Sony Marvel can close a deal with Tobey Maguire, he'll be back too. Kirsten Dunst will return as MJ, and I expect Emma Stone to reprise her role as Gwen Stacy, pregnancy permitting. Why? Because this third Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland...
No, she died.
So did Dr. Octopus.
No, he fell in the river.
Do you not know what death is?
He's just sleeping.
This third Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland will delve into the multiverse, just like its animated counterpart, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I don't think... Oh, can we get Nick Miller in this too? I don't think it's a big secret at this point. So why do we pretend it is? Because we love the pageantry of it all. Scrolling. Truthfully, I'll never understand why fans want to know... I don't care about it. Whatever. Yeah. John Watts is back to direct the new Spider-Man movie, which once again will co-star Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, Tony Revolori, and Marissa Tomei. This time around, they'll be joined by Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, as the Sorcerer Supreme will serve as a mentor of sorts to Holland's Peter Parker.
Do you mean as the doorway to the multiverse?
Well, I imagine he'll have something to do with that, yes.
Yeah.
And And this is slated to come out almost exactly 1 year from today, December 17th, 2020.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes.
Really? That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm excited. Didn't know that was going to happen today. Great.
So I was able to provide you with a new end nugget that gave you extra excitement.
Yeah.
Gave you TNE.
Yeah, TNE. No, what? Not TNE. What was just enough, or on the upper end? Didn't we have something for that?
You're properly whelmed?
I'm whelmed.
Are you sufficiently gruntled?
I sure am. I sure am. That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, it is a little odd, right, to have they've muddied Spider-Man like way too much on the screen. Like they're on the verge of that, or have surpassed it with Batman as well, where it's just like there's too many renditions and like they didn't really stick with it. Like, so Into the Spider-Verse is fantastic. It's a great movie. And it came out in the midst of other great Spider-Man movies that are happening. I'm thrilled that there's two versions of this, but now you're doing this one. And also, by the way,
that great video game that came out at the same time that everyone loved.
Oh my god, the video game is so good!
So there's three distinct, separate iterations of Spider-Man that all have incredible popular appeal. Like, there's not like one of them is often some niche. Like, I guess technically the video game probably has the least viewership of the three, but still pretty significant.
Just by the nature of the medium, I would say.
And a ton of overlap.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But I'm kind of curious, so like dipping into the thing that they all do well is they stay in their lane and they do their own story. But now if you're gonna split into other existing Spider-Mans, you're kind of veering into the Spider-Verse lane. And I don't know if
so that's the weird thing. That's the confusing thing to me is why do this exact same thing so close to when that already just happened in a way that was like, if like Spider-Verse bombed and or like no one saw it, I can understand, well, we could do it bigger and better. But it was critically acclaimed and beloved by the fans as well. So,
but they also the other thing about that is Spider-Verse hinted heavily at the original trilogy of movies as part of the Spider-Verse in the animated one.
Did they? I forget.
They do the dancing down the street thing, and they say yes, even that one.
Oh, that's true.
So that's why
it felt more like an Easter egg like type of nod.
Sure, and I granted they didn't know where this script was going. I'm sure at the time,
but why not though? Because they're both overseen by Sony.
Yeah, I wonder how close to the chest the writers on the Marvel side of the house keep things, though.
It doesn't matter because Sony, like Amy Pascal, is involved with both of those projects.
Oh, that's a good point. Then I have no idea. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe we find out that maybe they're going to somehow bring in Miles from that animated one in a real life version inside of this, and you find out that it's all part of the same, and you're just viewing it through a lens.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that will be what they're doing. It's just, it seems an odd choice to go to that well again.
Yeah.
So soon after. Like, it's only, a year or two ago? Like, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah, I think it was 2 years. I don't know. I've lost that. I have a hard gauge. It's hard to gauge that shit right now.
I'm pretty sure it was about 2 years ago.
Because if you say I saw that movie last year, you're wrong. It was probably 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, no,
so it had to be
holidays of 20.
I think it was a February joint, wasn't it?
Or maybe it was February.
A good February joint. No, it might have been holidays. I don't know. Anyway,
was it a Spike Lee joint?
It was yes. That's cool. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. I have faith in the MCU, so we'll see what's up.
Yeah, I mean, like they've been doing a pretty good job of it. So, like, I don't know why I would doubt that they will again. Hey, dude, I was almost exactly right again. December 14th, 2018.
Nice. So that's like, whoa. Isn't today the 14th? Oh, no, today's the 16th. Cool. Sweet. Do you have any, what other nuggets you got?
Well, do you want to break up the stuff and do Star Wars Marvel?
I don't know.
Finish off with it?
Just we'll finish off with the Disney stuff because I have the entire thing and there's some other nuggets in there that we need to go over. So
okay, so I have a super quick one before then another one. Indy 5. It's Mangold directing. Harrison Ford's officially signed on. 78-year-old Harrison Ford is going to reprise his role as Indiana Jones.
Is it a shot-for-shot remake of The Last Crusade, but he's his dad?
I mean, honestly, it'd be like, how surprising would that
Is
be?
this an I'm my own grandpa situation?
Oh, I am my own daddy. What are you talking about?
Okay, yeah, so they're making another one. What are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I don't know. Like,
I'm with you.
I'll watch it, but like the last one wasn't good. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good.
No. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like there's something magical about those those older movies. Going back to it is going to be. It's either going to make it. It's going to help it live on a little bit longer, or it's going to completely tank it. Terminator, for example. But
the thing is, unlike Terminator, right? Like, you don't have to worry about the time loop thing.
Sure.
I honestly, even all this time and all the poking fun at it, I still can't quite put my finger on what didn't work about it.
About which movie?
Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull. I have to rewatch it because I remember watching it and being like, I'm enjoying the ride. Like, I'm not blown away. I'm not, this is my childhood Indiana Jones, but I was fine with it. And I know that people were like up in arms about it at the time, but I was whatever. I'll rewatch it. Let's rewatch it and do it. How about that?
Okay. I mean, sure.
Yeah, at some point. And then we can figure this out. But that being said, there's a lot of talented people in the world that write, and a lot of people that haven't made a movie yet. Where it's like, instead of dipping back into the well on something that's it's a little tired, a new idea could be the next Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, just go. Like, it just seems like a waste of resources for something that is not like it's not going to be. And I know this is pessimistic to say, it's not going to be a Last Crusade or Temple of Doom or Raiders. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a sequel nod to that older thing that we used to like.
Well, will this be The Last Crusade? I thought The Last Crusade was The Last Crusade, but maybe
that's a great question.
This Crusade will be The Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade. This time we mean it.
The Last Crusade.
Indiana Jones and the
Can he really keep going before he crashes
the
that
Penitent Man Pass.
Penitent Man knows before God.
Yeah. Indiana Jones 5, we chose poorly.
That's actually great.
That's what it would be if it were a Family Guy trilogy. Why have they not done that? See, if anybody they can go back to the well and do that stuff. That'd be great.
I've wondered for a long time why they wouldn't tackle something like that or something like Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty great. I need to rewatch those.
They have a deep enough cast of like recurring characters to do it. I'm not saying they all like fit perfectly in the way that like a lot of it did with Star Wars. Not all of it, but like a lot of it did with Star Wars. But they could do Lord of the Rings. Like, it would work.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, Al. It's happened, by the way. It was last week. I was in a fog of pain, and I was like, I think I want to watch The Lord of the Rings. I didn't, but I think I want to watch it. And now I'm getting ramped up to purchase the 4K Blu-rays.
You know, I spoiled myself this football season and finally bought Sunday Ticket where I could watch all football games.
Spoiled. See, I was waiting for you to finish that sentence because I thought you said you soiled yourself this weekend.
I shit my pants this weekend, and
I had this thought.
I spoiled myself this season and bought Sunday Ticket so I could watch all the football games. So my intake of Lord of the Rings this year has been pretty low because typically that's a classic. The NFL is forcing me to watch one football game right now. It's not a particularly good one. And during the commercials, I'm going to look for something to flip to. And, oh, look at this. TNT is playing all of the Lord of the Rings back to back today. Let me flip back and forth. And occasionally I'm going to miss a drive of the football game because I'm engaged with what's going on with Lord of the Rings. Because
Are you not on that picture-in-picture?
What's that?
Are you not on that picture-in-picture?
No. Because whether it be the game or the movie, I want the full focus at the moment.
Got it. Okay, fair enough.
So because I have all the football,
Mhm.
I have not watched any Lord of the Rings during any
Gotcha.
of the football Sundays.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're taking a little break. You can admit it. It's too much.
Oh no, I'm actually missing it. Is my point. It's not so much to like not watch the football because I paid for it and I have it, but I'm saying, by now I would have surely watched it, parts of all three of them twice in the last 3 months because they usually do them once every few weeks during football season. There's a couple of Sundays where they do Star Wars wall to wall, and there's a couple of Sundays where they do Lord of the Rings. And I've caught a little bit of the Star Wars because they usually do it Saturday and Sunday. So on Saturday I've caught a little bit of Star Wars, but haven't caught any Lord of the Rings. And I'm missing. I
off watched Empire and Jedi last weekend, and it's really just it was in a good spot. I was very happy every time I looked up for like 10 minutes to watch what was happening. Great films. I really enjoy them.
I have a note on Attack of the Clones. The horrendous romance of that movie. There is one silver lining. The theme song John Williams wrote for Padme and Anakin's romance is a really legitimately great theme.
Yeah, it's solid gold.
I will hum and or whistle that song, especially like if I was watching it and I was humming it for most of the rest of the day.
And as frustrated as people may be, you can't pretend that you didn't jump out of your seat the first time you saw Yoda flipping around like a madman.
Oh no, I still legitimately love that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think I'm gonna get into the prequel trilogy next. Yeah. The thing is, I realized the other day that most of the times that I was like, "Ooh, I'm ready to watch," like I want to watch Star Wars again, I always would start with 4, and I would like start watching 4, 5, and 6, and I would trail off because I would like I've seen them so many times that I don't end up following through. So I realized I've seen A New Hope so many times at this point that I kind of just skip it right now. And I'm looking forward to the time where I'm like, ooh, I haven't seen that in a minute, but it's not yet. I've seen it a lot in the past few years.
Well, that's the thing where it's like, I've seen all of them a good amount the last 5 to 10 years, except Phantom Menace. And there's one specific reason, because starting on a Saturday, at least once a month, TNT puts on all of them in chronological order. And Phantom Menace goes on.
Starts at like 7 a.m.
7 a.m. on a Saturday. Yeah. And spoiler alert, I'm not out of bed before 9. So at best, as I fire up the TV to have some breakfast on Saturday morning, I might be catching the final 5 minutes of that movie before it goes directly into Attack.
It's a good 5 minutes.
Well, it's just the celebration.
It's a parade. Get you all ready to go for the next. Is that Life Day? Is that the first Life Day?
I mean, it is similar because they have the orb.
Oh man, so good! I want to watch that too. Maybe that's what I'll be doing over these holiday weeks.
You should also be watching the Hobbit movie so we can do that episode like we've planned for.
Right. I'm more excited to go. Isn't that crazy? For some reason, I'm more excited to go back to the Lord of the Rings extended versions, even though I put myself through torture.
Well, it's because you know that despite the fact that you had a very specific traumatic event surrounding them, that they are a legitimately great movie.
That's right. Right. Yeah, that's fine. Can I get those? Are those in 4K?
Well, he just did like a update to them for the 4K release. I don't think they're actually out yet, but I'm not 100% sure. And people were all panicking, and he's like, guys, I didn't do the Star Wars thing. I didn't reshoot stuff. He goes, I just realized that while we were converting it to 4K, some of the stuff, like, you can see, like, there was, like, visual, like, inaccuracy, but, like, within scenes or from scene to scene, like, where, like, he goes, so I just touched up some of the stuff so that, like, the lighting was the same.
Okay, that's fair.
That's what he said. Obviously, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I want you to know, so I Googled Hobbit 4K.
Those are in 4K, I'm pretty sure.
The first thing I saw was the Hobbit trilogy, Walmart, $70. Next thing on the list, the Hobbit trilogy, $90 at Target. It's a pretty drastic difference for 90 at Best Buy, 90 from Warner Brothers. Lord of the Rings trilogy, $140. Both trilogies. You're paying a premium for a better movie.
I mean, that is how it works, correct?
Not when you go to the theater, it's not.
No, but generally you pay more for things that are better. Like in most other industries.
Sure, I could get on with that. Although...
also, the amount of content is significantly more.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Did you end up getting a complete non-film tangent? Did you end up getting Cyberpunk?
I downloaded it last night. Have not had a chance to fire it up.
Oh, you did. You might want to get a refund or you're going to get a Series X, right?
Yes.
Okay,
well,
so
that is if one is available. I was furious that I was not able to find one online yesterday.
You'll be fine once you get one of those, but it sounds like it's a hot mess on the Xbox One and PS4. Hot mess.
Well, I had specifically seen the PS4 was the issue.
Yeah, but you have a OG Xbox One, right?
I do.
Yeah, you don't even have a One X. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a hot mess on that as well.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
All I'm saying is it sounds like there's some really tremendously terrible things like frame rate, like real bad frame rates, like horrible texture popping, things like that, where it clicked for me the other day because I had been listening to a lot of podcasts covering this. They were saying how bad it was on those platforms and how unacceptable it is, and so much so that they're giving refunds if you want them. And then I watched Elf. And Walter Hobbs shipped the book without the last 2 pages. And I was wondering if he was in charge when this game was pushed out.
I don't understand why they're having such issue because this game was developed for
that's the whole scandal. Yeah, that's the scandal.
Right? Like it would be different. It
doesn't work on those.
Yeah, like if it would be one thing if it was developed for the Series X and ported to this, but it sounds like it's going to be the other way around, right?
Yeah. So
is it going to work on neither of them?
Yeah. IGN had put out their review initially for PC because that's what they were given to review it on, and they went with a 9, which is exciting. And then with all of the crap that was going on with the consoles, they did a second review for those Xbox and PS4 versions of it and gave it a 4.
It sounds like they were given the review copy of the PC for a reason.
Oh, 100%. So are all the outlets. They also weren't allowed to use their own, what is it called? Their own clips. They had to use like the stock ones that were provided to them for like review footage. There were flex.
It was a heady play. Shady but a heady play.
Yeah. More on that on Game Bites.
Yeah, I'll be willing to tune into that. I guess we'll probably discuss it some tomorrow. I hope.
Probably, yeah.
Who knew? I'm not a teacher, but at 30 years old, I'm going to snow day tomorrow. So
That's awesome.
On playing some Cyberpunk. So, well, the thing is, my job is extremely driving intensive for like everyone in the company. So
sure.
Yeah, we planned ahead. Thank God. And we will not have to drive through the foot or two of snow tomorrow because I just wasn't going to do that. Is what was going to happen. So
I had a theory. I played my hand, and Mother Nature called my bluff. So I bought a snowblower, thinking, what's going to happen is if I buy it, it won't snow. Right. Turns out,
why did you bother buying the snowblower? You have such a small driveway. Like that's a good workout.
Yeah, but I really hate shoveling snow. Like I hate it with a fiery passion. And I already work out daily.
You get to a foot of snow.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. I know your driveway is large. For whatever reason, the surface area of my driveway is ridiculously annoying to shovel. You know what it is? All of the snow has to go to one direction. Mm. There's no splitting. Because there's the neighbor next to me. It's their driveway. I can't... And there's a small strip of grass. I can't throw snow left. Snow...
You can do some.
All the snow... All the snow in the double wide driveway has to go right. So
see, 2/3 of my driveway are slanted more substantially downhill than the other third. So it would end up being a similar division of labor to what you would be doing if you did just some to the one side.
Sure.
So that's what you do, is you cheat a little bit. You do the one strip down the driveway into the street, because it's going to get plowed. And then from that strip, you're going to put roughly 1/3 of the way oriented towards your neighbor's driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And then that third on, you shovel into the strip. And then the other 2/3 you push to the other side.
I see what you're saying.
It's all about, it's kind of like playing Minesweeper. Like, you have to come up with a strategy based on the layout of what's going on and optimize from there. Because that's what I do.
Go all the way down the left side, and you right click.
Exactly.
And
so I do one strip.
I got it.
I do one strip down nearly the middle of my driveway. And then because it's at an angle, I do big long swaths down into the one side and then shovel over the short side.
Sure. See, now that I have it, though, and it is snowing, I'm not upset. I'm really excited.
No, I mean, you'll have fun with it. I'm just saying, honestly, a snowblower would be great for my driveway.
Oh, yeah,
I feel
100%.
like you're going to spend as much time, navigating in, nooks and crannies with your snowblower as you're going to be actually blowing the snow.
No, I have no nooks and crannies. I have a rectangle.
No, but, you have your 2 cars, and...
So you blow all the snow away from one area. So the cars, we park them offset. So I blow all the snow away from one area and pull the other car up. And blow all the snow away there. And blow all the way snow to the right. And pull the other car up. And I blow away any excess snow. Done. I've got this whole thing worked out.
Actually, my brother came to stay here today. So between his car and my car, all of our cars, there's 5 of us. We have 6 cars in the driveway. Between the 6 cars, it'll be very little for us to actually have to shovel tomorrow, as far as surface area, relative to the size of the driveway.
Sure.
My dad has his old work car that he hasn't been able to sell yet, and his new work car. So
got it. What's his new work car?
A Honda CR-V.
Nice.
The same as his old work car.
Why don't we just put a plow on your new truck?
I could. It wouldn't work super great for the driveway, especially with the 5 other cars. But
maybe it could be a good Samaritan.
I could, because that was part of the reason when I told my boss that even if we didn't have the snow day, that I probably wasn't going to show up to work tomorrow, because they always plow our neighborhood last in the town. They frequently hit other places twice before they come to us once.
Oh, dude. Years ago, when I lived at my parents', our house was on a giant, the hill. I don't know. I'm explaining to the listeners.
It's a San Francisco style hill.
It's a San Francisco style hill. It's a dead end, and I watched as a wee lad the plow come up the block and getting excited, and then it turning right and just
it never came up.
Never coming up the block.
Oh no! It's so
it's
close,
completely savage.
That street is directly across from your neighbor's house.
I know. In their defense, there's a chance that they would have clipped something.
Sure. Although, in the city, aren't you not supposed to park on the street during the snow?
It's not like that in their residential area, at least.
No?
No. I mean, in a lot of places it is.
I thought it wasn't allowed, or you would only be able to park on one side of the street or something.
No, there's specific signs that explain those rules.
Okay, and obviously I don't know what the specific signs are by your parents.
Yeah, no, they'll be no parking during a snowstorm, or alternate side parking during X or Y. There's a lot of rules in the city. I don't hate it. No, I have a driveway now. I love it. It's great.
Well, your parents had a driveway. It's just very small.
It was a driveway that we could fit 4 in ours. I like it.
Yeah, they can fit 1.
Yeah,
1.5.
Barely. 1.5 maybe. Yeah.
But you
would get a ticket though. You get a ticket for doing that type of stuff.
Oh, I'm sure you would. I'm just saying, you technically could get a car there, right?
You could get it. It's in the street, but it's not so far in the street that it's past the other cars that are parked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parallel to the curb. Yeah. Anyway, news and nuggets. You got any more? Hit me. Is it your best new?
No, the best one was probably Recipe for Seduction, honestly.
Fair enough.
Warner Brothers to debut entire 2021 film slate, including Dune and Matrix 4, both on HBO Max and in theaters.
That's right. I remember that. That was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so that one came out the day after the last recording we did. And I was
Right.
like, guys, you couldn't have given us this fucking
Yeah, a little
24
tease.
hours,
A little
24
taste.
hours
A little bump.
earlier.
Yeah.
And then we missed last week. So it's old news at this point. There's been more news around this in the time since, but just rather than read like the whole thing here, I figured it would just be kind of discuss like what our thoughts are on this.
My question for you is this the Disney Plus situation where you have to pay extra for those movies, or do you get them as part of the subscription?
Well, let's see what it says here at the top of this article, which I don't remember because I put it in here 2 weeks ago. When Warner Brothers announced that Wonder Woman 1984 would land on the streaming service HBO Max on Christmas, the same time it debuts in theaters, many expected it to be an isolated experiment in response to an unprecedented pandemic. Instead, the studio will deploy a similar release strategy for the next 12 months. In a surprising break from industry standards, Warner Brothers' entire 21 slate, a list of 17 films that includes The Matrix 4, Denis Villeneuve's Dune remake, Lin-Manuel Miranda's musical adaptation of In the Heights, The Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark, and The Suicide Squad, will debut both on HBO Max and in theaters on their respective release dates. The shocking move to release movies day and date underscores the crisis facing movie theaters and the rising importance of streaming services in the wake of a global health crisis that's decimated the film exhibition community.
All right, couple questions on that. Is the film industry doing, prior to the pandemic, were they doing that bad?
Yes.
Were they?
So, not the film industry, the movie theater industry was doing poorly.
Okay.
The movie exhibition industry is what they were talking about. Movie theaters have been shuttering during the time of the pandemic. One of the major chains shut down. Was it Regal, I think? One of them
I don't know.
Shuttered completely. It's not AMC.
Okay.
It's not Cinemark. It's not... What's the other big one? Isn't there another big one?
There's a handful of odd ones out there.
I'm pretty sure it was Regal. Not 100% sure. One of them shuttered for good. And all the little mom and pop ones are heading that way as well. Like
it was Regal.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not an issue with the film industry. It's the movie theater industry is dying because, people have the ability to watch in 4K at their house and other reasons too. As far as the film industry itself, while there is being a lot of money being made on, big releases, obviously, the middle class of movie has died for all intents and purposes, and where it still exists, it's been shifted to streaming.
That's fair.
Indie films that are being made, and there's Marvel, Star Wars, like Warner type movies, DC movies being made, and that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
The rom-com has shifted entirely to streaming and to television. The mid-budget drama and action movie barely exists, if at all.
Mm-hmm. I guess what I'm more curious about is prior to, again, this is not this year, notwithstanding. I'm not including anything of this year. I understand that that 2020 would impact things negatively. Prior to that, though, I found that the movie theaters, at least in the ones that I've gone to in my area, like in my bubble, seem to be more and more crowded each year.
There was, I think, and I had some thoughts on this a couple months ago as to what was going on, and I kind of don't recall now. I don't think we discussed it on the show. There did seem to be a little resurgence 2 years ago. Like, above just the fact that there was big event pictures coming out. There seemed to be a little bit of a resurgence. Obviously, 2020 has totally snuffed that out. It may be for good, it may not be, I don't know. I will say that the shuttering of major companies will hasten that. And this would seem to be a likely death blow because an entire year post-vaccine in which you could be going back to movie theaters, first of all, there's still going to be like the kind of PTSD of all of us not wanting to. Even if you feel, hey, I've got the vaccine, you've got the vaccine, like that should, like there's going to be a collective fear, at least in the places that have embraced actually social distancing and all of that. Like there's obviously a lot of states, towns, counties, whatever, that haven't done it throughout I live in New York, you live in New Jersey, so it's been very different here than it's been elsewhere. Mm-hmm. There's going to be in places like this that have embraced trying to not kill each other, that there's going to be a collective fear, I think, for a long time about it. Like, even after I get the vaccine, I'm going to be a little wary of going to a movie theater, I'm going to be a little wary about going to a baseball game or a football game. Like, it's going to be on, or a concert or whatever.
Yeah, I understand that, and I understand that in the short term, it's going to take even more of a hit than maybe it would have before. It's the hit that it was taking before that I'm not sold on. But that's, again, I'm talking about the bubble within that I live within. Like, it's not because I don't know what the movie industry is like outside of the places that I go to see the movies. Right.
Well, I can tell you,
all I know is that when I see
I've run into it some in the last 5 years or so. So, like, I've been, like, kind of aware of the trend in general. I can tell you that right here at home, like, the movie theater is closest to me, the one that I go to the most often. Like, last year, it shut down totally unannounced. New ownership bought it a month or so later, whatever it was. And their rollout of the new theater was really choppy for, like, months, where, like, they weren't getting all the new releases. They were really not serving the customers very well. It was like tough.
Yeah, but see, like, there's the other. That's the other part of it too. Is in my experience, I've been going, like, I've been close to the movie theater my entire life. I've seen movie theaters that I've gone to shut down, but in my experience, they've shut down because a bigger name theater with more of the amenities has opened up in a reasonable distance to it. And that's what killed the case.
That's not the case here. Like, there are big ones, like, but the big theaters are, whichever direction you drive, 30 to 40 minutes away. Like, there's 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That are big, great theaters, but no matter which direction you drive, they're in 30 to 40 minutes away. So, like, some of the movies we've done over the years, I've gone to one of those theaters because it wasn't available at my theater. You know what I mean? But, like, if I'm going to see Star Wars or whatever, like, I'm going to go to this theater because obviously they have it.
Yeah.
But, like, when we did Free Fire, I had to go somewhere else to do that.
Great movie.
I know. I was talking about it pretty recently. I forget exactly why, but I was talking about it pretty recently, so it was kind of on my mind.
As you should. All right. I've got this article pulled up on The Verge. The 52 things Disney just announced. This was from the Investor Day.
That seems low.
Sorry. Yes, you're right. That does sound low. When I clicked into the article, and the link itself says the 52 biggest things. So,
well, I was actually just making a joke, but it does actually seem a bit low.
It does. So, I'm going to scroll through this list. I'm going to rattle things off. I'll, not like rapid fire, but just pause me if there's anything that you want to go through, or I'll pause if there's something specific that I'm interested in. So the list starts off with the Marvel Disney Plus series, WandaVision, and its upcoming January 15th release date. Interested?
Yeah, just because it looks fucking weird.
Same. Same. All right, cool. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier also finally got a full trailer. I did not see the trailer. End of March release date.
Neither did I.
Okay, are you excited about that at all?
I wouldn't say, like, excited, but it's, like, that's not going to be one where I'm like, okay, I got to watch this when it drops, but, like, I'll get to it.
Yeah. I'm curious about the live action Marvel Disney Plus show. Just so much so that, like, The Mandalorian has been great. I'm curious how that will translate to a Marvel show on the platform and see where it goes.
I expect it'll look really good the way that The Mandalorian does. I actually even expect these will probably have a bigger budget to start than that one did, which
that's
seems
a good point
odd to say. I don't know why that would be the case, but
I think you're right, though.
I think
I do think that the Marvel reaches a wider audience.
That's marginally. That's kind of.
I think it's pretty fair to say that Marvel would reach a wider audience and Star Wars might reach a louder one.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Star Wars always sets box office records. Is all I'm saying. Like, they like have an incredible. Well, the other thing I'm saying is, well, I would say that the Marvel audience is wider, but the Star Wars audience covers more generations.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
that's fair.
Like, I think Star Wars is probably still edging at 51-49, is I guess kind of my thesis. But regardless, they're gonna make these two shows essential in some way. We may not know what that way is until like the whole season ends, but like,
well, hang on. Let's not stop with these two shows because there's a whole bunch more. I'm curious how much of these you think are going to be essential. I would assume they all are.
they are. They're going to force it because Marvel has done that in a way that Star Wars has not yet, though they are trying to now. They are adopting the Marvel model to some extent. So each of these shows is going to have something that you, quote unquote, can't miss to get what's going on with the big picture Marvel stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we also got a first look at Loki with a May 2021 release date. So a lot of this stuff coming out with relatively quick succession over the next year, it sounds.
Well, it's because we've already supposed to have gotten those other two shows.
But now I'm kind of curious. Like, does this mean like with a January and then March and then May? Are we getting like? Is it like every weekend? Are we getting a new episode of something?
Probably because
that's awesome if that's the case.
Yeah, because those shows weren't supposed to be that long, right? They were only supposed to be like 6 or 8 episodes long.
I would assume so because I as even if they marketed it up and whatnot, I would assume that every single one of them is a pilot season to see what the interest is and to see how long they're going to stick with it.
They obviously weren't planning on doing it this way, right? We were supposed to have gotten each of these two shows, the first two shows you mentioned, we were supposed to have gotten them this year. And obviously, due to COVID, have been pushed substantially.
Hawkeye is coming in late 2021.
Honestly, that's the least interested of the four that you mentioned.
Sorry, late fall. Yeah, whatever. What If, an animated series? I don't know anything about it. Have you heard about this one? That one will certainly be
the least essential of them. What If is literally a hypothetical. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a... Like, what's that? The Neil deGrasse Tyson show that I think also Carl Sagan did a version of, like, where it's like the outer space type show where it's like hey, like hypothetical stuff about space, but instead it's within the Marvel universe.
Right.
So, like, it's not going to be canon.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to read this next paragraph because there's a bunch in it. So Feige also announced 3 new series coming to Disney Plus. Ironheart, set to star Dominique Thorne engineering protege Riri Williams. Armor Wars, which examines one of Tony Stark's biggest fears and stars Don Cheadle, who's reprising his role as... That was hard to say. His role as Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes. And Secret Invasion, the previously rumored Nick Fury-led series that will see Samuel L. Jackson reprise his role as the S.H.I.E.L.D. director alongside Ben Mendelsohn's Skull shapeshifter Talos.
Did you just call him Mendelsohn?
Meddlesome. It popped up, like, that's not my joke. That popped up in like I think it was like a CinemaSins or one of those trailer ones that we like, honest trailers, and it's just stuck with me because I found it to be so funny.
Yeah, so I've been wondering if they were ever going to tackle what that's all about, considering that reveal in Captain Marvel. No, sorry, not Captain Marvel. Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Or both, I guess. Both? One of them? I don't remember. Regardless, I'm curious about that one just to see if that has any impact on like the bigger universe, what's going on. Yeah.
No. Marvel Studios is working on a new Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special for Disney Plus, due out in 2022. That seems like way too far off to even mention.
Well, some of these things are, right? Because like they still haven't casted the lead in Moon Knight, although they've announced that it's going to happen, and I believe the trades have announced that they know who it is. I don't remember who it is who's playing Moon Knight, but whatever. They've doing a whole She-Hulk and everything too, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel 2. Just some casting announcements there. So that was under the title Marvel Disney Plus series. This is under Marvel Movies. Feige, is it Feige? Is that how you say it?
Yes, Kevin Feige.
Feige. Oh, you pronounce the G?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you kind of cut out for a second, so I thought that the G just got like lost in the internet.
Feige confirmed that Black Panther 2 will not recast the late Chadwick Boseman's King T'Challa. Good move. Just kind of excited to see how they handle that. I'm sure they'll do something great, but I think that is the right call.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn on it because totally getting rid of that character, considering how much weight was supposed to be put on his shoulders, like going forward, seems odd. But on the other hand, I get wanting to respect him. Did you see they cut that new intro to that movie? They did like the Marvel thing where like they show like the scenes or whatever that's before every movie. They did just his scenes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that would. I don't know if I could watch that.
Yeah, it's
that's heavy. It's still set for a July 2022 release.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so obviously they're gonna have to substantially rework not just that movie, but what going forward in the MCU, what that role is supposed to be. The speculation has long been right that you would have Shuri probably take the role, but maybe they push M'Baku to the front in this case.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see where they go with it. Third Ant-Man in the works, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is going to introduce Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. Okay.
I've heard that name before.
This says, one of Marvel's biggest villains. And I was like, I know of the name.
Yeah, because I had heard some rumors as to whether or not he might be one of the next like crossover event movies, if he would be the one. So maybe this tips off to that. I don't know.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will tie in to both the upcoming WandaVision and Sony and Marvel's third Spider-Man movie.
Yes, we knew that.
Mentioned, yep.
Then finally, I think they announced Rachel McAdams is returning.
It doesn't say that here, but this is only the 52 biggest things. So
that was number 53.
That's 53. We had to make some tough choices.
We had to draw the line somewhere.
Marvel Studios is developing a new Fantastic Four movie.
Which we knew.
It's fine. Just don't talk about it.
Did they date it? Because I'm gonna just say 2025.
Yeah. Oh, nice. All right.
At that point, we'll have had at least a decade since the last movie. That's a decent amount of time.
I think that's fair. That's probably about right, considering the line. Finally, Marvel Studios is developing a new Fantastic Four movie.
Finally, that's
finally, as in the list, not finally they're doing it.
I was gonna say that's a loaded term there. Yikes!
All right, let's get into Lucasfilm. 10 Star Wars series. Jesus,
I can already tell you the one I'm most excited for, and it's the Acolyte.
You're least excited for? You said
no, most.
What is that one?
I'm not entirely sure, and that's why.
That one, okay, I'm down with that.
Well, it's part of why. So I know we talked about it. It was a few months ago, maybe it was last year. I forget. Preface to all this, I don't remember the episode. Obviously, too lazy to look it up. Also, don't want to break the stream of consciousness here. We discussed. They announced they were delving into this whole multimedia project in a new era in Star Wars, previously untouched in the canon, called the High Republic, which was supposed to be roughly 400 years prior to the Phantom Menace. Obviously, covers a span of time. So they announced this whole big thing. They hired all these authors, these writers. They're doing comic books. They're doing novels. They're doing like stuff on the computer, like internet, whatever. They announced this whole roster of characters who were going to feature heavily across these interconnected works. And so the Acolyte sounds like it's going to bridge the gap between the prequels and the High Republic era. Heavily rumored that it'll be a show, if not focused on, certainly featuring Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Okay. Interesting.
If you look on there, you'll see when you get to the Acolyte, the little blurb.
Wow. Sorry, I'm doing Plagueis songs. This note doesn't say anything about really anything about it unless you dive deeper into it.
Okay, I'll look at
Acolyte set in the High Republic.
Yeah, you keep going with what you were saying.
All right. So we've got 2 new shows coming as spin-offs of The Mandalorian. And that is Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, which is cool.
Obviously, we had seen the Ahsoka reveal in that episode. I was kind of hoping we'd get her again in this season. Obviously, that seems unlikely.
Unlikely.
That it'll be in the finale, but seems unlikely. We'll obviously get more of her in her own show. The other thing, which I wasn't sure they were going to, but obviously they've tipped it off now, Cara Dune joining the Rangers, the New Republic Rangers, seems to tip off whether or not she's involved with the show, because I've heard there may be some trying to distance from the actress, that maybe she won't be in it, but I would seem to indicate that she would be, because why bother going through all that? But obviously that was shot well before all of that stuff, so who knows?
Yeah. We've got The Bad Batch, an animated series about the Bad Batch of the clones.
That trailer was badass. Obviously, I'm super looking forward to seeing that. After
I didn't see the trailer, but I'm in. I want to watch that.
Well, you didn't get to watch the last season of Rebels when it came out, right?
No, I'm in it now. I think it's 4 seasons, right? Or 5.
Oh, sorry. Did I say Rebels? Clone Wars is what I meant.
Oh no, Clone Wars. I didn't watch. I am going to watch it, but I did not watch it.
Well, that was that new season that came out earlier this year. They were the first arc of the season. The season was split up 3 4-episode arcs, and they were the first arc. So
we've got Andor coming in 2022,
which we knew about already.
Did we know the year? Did we know that's when it was coming out?
I don't remember. I just know that they had fully announced the show and that Diego Luna was going to be back. Which, by the way, I saw him in a random ass movie from 2003 called Open Range.
Interesting. We have Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Still confused by that one, but okay. I imagine
flashbacks.
Yeah.
I was thinking. So when I was younger, around, I feel like it was probably between the first and second. Actually, I think it was between the first and second episodes. There were these series of like basically kids books that were like Jedi Apprentice. And I feel like it was, I think that was like, I think they were stories of like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And I was wondering if maybe they would do something so far as leveraging that de-aging tech and doing Obi-Wan and Anakin like flashbacks to things that we never saw in between the movies, like of their relationship and and the training and how that played out, and maybe the frustrations.
I imagine some of that sort of stuff, or maybe like reframing some of what was going on, not necessarily during, but around the time of Revenge of the Sith type of thing, like kind of leaning toward, like to give greater context to like Anakin's fall, maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm wondering if it's like Obi-Wan going through his memories, like where did I miss it? You know what I mean? Like, at what point did it, like, you know, what could I have done differently type of thing? Because like that actually could be cool. It could be interesting and informative and like character study. I know that they've said it's kind of perfect the age that Ewan McGregor is. He is kind of halfway between the age of what he was in episode 3 and how old Alec Guinness was in episode 4. So he is perfect to be playing a nebulous time between the movies.
Dude, spoilers for Rebels, because I'm catching up slowly on that. But the actual end of Darth Maul, first off, it was upsetting that it was only, I don't know, 3.5 seconds. That was my only problem with it. That being said, the way that I want to say shot it, but I don't think that's the right term. The way that they drew it, the way that maps up so perfectly to the battle just before their initial fight, when that door is closed between them, and the way that those scenes pair up, it's so good. And I believe
Freddie Prinze referred to it as the visual language of Star Wars, right? Like, obviously Filoni worshipped at the altar of George Lucas, so he was going to give that the greatest fidelity to the combination.
Oh my goodness!
Mirroring the open and close of that storyline also gives, now that you've seen his end, it gives greater context to that Rule of Two podcast he did with Amin last year, where he talked about how Darth Maul is Sisyphus, because that death scene actually is a great bit of evidence to what he was getting at, where Maul knew he had to fail. Like, he knew he had to try, but also knew he had to fail in that moment.
Right.
You know, it's like, I have to try and hope it will go a better way, but I know it won't. But like, I'll drive myself continually crazy if I don't go for it. But also, I'm definitely going to die, and maybe I'll get a measure of peace because of it.
Yeah. It's a great scene. That was I'm very. They like the show was
Honestly,
always
kind of
good,
touching, right? Like kind of touching.
it's ramped
that
up.
Final
Oh
moment.
yeah, for sure.
Like it's weird
sure.
that the two of them should share like an intimate moment, not in like a romantic sense, but like an intimate moment together, where like the hatred is gone now, and it's just the begrudging. We both know we've lost, and it's right that we're here together in this moment.
Sleep now. It's basically.
I'll interject at this point because I found the information I was looking for on the Acolyte. This is a blurb, just kind of encapsulating some of the stuff they've released about it. The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that, quote, will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. The new High Republic books and comics will explore the new era and will focus on the height of the thriving powers of the Jedi, whereas this series will see the end of the prosperous period. Plot details for the Acolyte are scarce, but the High Republic novels and comics feature many female Jedi protagonists, and the show may continue the precedent given the drastic jump in time from previous Star Wars stories. There were only a handful of characters from prior movies and shows, such as a younger Yoda, who would be alive and active in this era, leaving the series to create an entirely new cast of characters. So what I'd seen earlier in this article is that this show is supposedly going to take place roughly 200 years before the events of the prequels, whereas the High Republic era, that whole multimedia span of stuff is supposed to basically cover roughly 400 years to 200 years before.
Right. Interesting. The next one on the list is a droid story, which will feature a new hero alongside R2-D2 and C-3PO.
It's good that they're still finding a way to keep Anthony Daniels around. I mean, like, he doesn't really have anything outside of Star Wars, and like he's been game for it start to finish. Like he
I'm
keeps
fine
showing up
too, sir.
He keeps showing up. Like he did actually probably get the most touching moment in the like Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
Taking one last look at my friends, like that got me in the feels, you know?
Oh, it certainly did. It absolutely cheapened by the recovery, but it was.
But the thing was, when they were having that scene, I was like, this isn't going to stick. Like, you knew it wasn't, so, like, it softens the blow slightly. But that is, like, kind of an ultimate fan service moment for us to pay a tribute to C-3PO, who has literally been there start to finish, as well as to be the surrogate for us in the movie of, this is us taking one last look at our friends, right?
Yeah. Here's that event word again that they like to throw around. Star Wars Lando is a new event series coming to Disney Plus. What does that mean?
Don't know. Probably just means that it's a limited series. It won't be a thing that could be renewed for a further season, would be my guess.
Fair enough.
Also, they've played very coy, which is to say they've been super vague. We don't know what Lando this is. Is it a real Lando? Is it an animated Lando? Is it, oh my god, Billy D? I totally drew a blank on his name for a second. Is it Billy D. Williams? Is it Donald Glover? Is it a new Lando entirely? We don't know.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Star Wars Visions, an upcoming anime anthology.
I missed that announcement, actually, so.
I mean, that's it. There's no other news on that piece. Now we have Star Wars movies.
Oh, I was going to say, there was movies, too.
Patty Jenkins will be directing Rogue Squadron due 2023.
See that teaser?
I didn't know there was a teaser. No.
Oh, well, no, sorry. It was different. You want to fire it up right now? Do it.
I kind of do. Is it time? All right, let's do this.
Yeah, I mean, it takes like a minute or 90 seconds, whatever it was. So, yeah, it was pretty badass. Just pipe it in. We can listen to it together.
There's an ad.
This is Max. How waterproof is it?
And skip.
I love to move fast and speed of any kind. I think that that's because I grew up the daughter of a great fighter pilot, and every day I would wake up and go outside and look up, see my father and his squadron taking off in their F-4s, roaring across the sky, and it was the most thrilling thing still I've experienced in my entire life. So when he lost his life in service to this country, it ignited a desire in me to turn all of that tragedy and thrill into one day making the greatest fighter pilot movie of all time. But try as I might and look as I did, I couldn't find the right story ever. I kept looking and looking, but I just couldn't find the right one until now. Now I found a movie about two things I love, so I'm going to see you very soon.
Oh, come on! Oh my goodness. Okay, you want chills, goosebumps everywhere. That's so good.
And that was with you already knowing that she was doing the movie. When I saw the trailer, I had no idea. I saw it so Star Wars kind of just tweeted it out. I was like, yes, I will of course watch this video. You've tweeted it out. Watched it, saw it, and I was like, oh my god.
That's so cool. I will say, so she's, what you're not seeing, obviously, she's putting something, she was rollerblading first off, which made me go, am I watching the right thing? Then she's sitting in the back of her Tesla and she's doing something. It looks like she's putting something on. And then it closes with her, saying the last line there. She puts on a Rebel helmet and then pulls the orange jumpsuit over her shoulders and walks out to an X-Wing. And then you realize that the high note keys on the piano are the Star Wars music. And you're just like, oh man, they know what they're doing. That's exciting.
And by the way, for context, this will not be adapting any of the Rogue Squadron games. She is making an original Rogue Squadron story.
Right. So that's awesome. Okay, so we also have Disney also discussed the untitled Taika Waititi Star Wars movie, first announced in May. That tweet that you sent out, that you shared with me, was fantastic. What did he say?
Yeah. So on Instagram, if my phone will open. On Instagram, he put out Star Wars put out the original post saying that Taika Waititi was going to be making a Star Wars Squadron, or sorry, not Star Wars. So from the Star Wars account, a brand new Star Wars feature with acclaimed filmmaker Taika Waititi is in development. Get ready for an unforgettable ride. He reposted it with the caption, "What? Ugh. As a longtime fan of Star Wars, I'm so angry about what I am about to do to ruin it."
He's fantastic. All right, so we have this. We then move into Disney animation, where we have is it Raya or Raya? I'm not sure how to say it. And The Last Dragon premieres March 5th.
Oh, so we're done with Star Wars?
We're done with Star Wars.
Okay.
We have Baymax. Excellent. Baymax, I guess is how I should say that. A series on Big Hero 6.
I did not expect two separate Baymax references made in the past week, but here we are.
Yeah, Diane Kruger. Zootopia Plus. A new series based in the Zootopia universe, hitting the streaming service in September 2022. Again, for the things that I'm reading directly, this is from The Verge. We have Tiana, which is based on The Princess and the Frog, premiering in Disney Plus. A long-form musical comedy series for Moana. I liked Moana. I'm down with that.
I saw that one.
Encanto.
Actually, I haven't seen any of these movies that you've mentioned the shows for. I've not seen a single one of them. I have not seen Princess of the Frog. I've not seen Big Hero 6. I've not seen...
Okay, so we're going to do Big Hero 6 because that movie is great.
I have not seen Moana. I have not seen... I'm imagining that last one that you just mentioned was the one with... it was the Mexican Pixar story, wasn't it?
Which one? Oh, no. You're thinking of Coco.
Yes. Is that not what you were getting to next?
No. Encanto is set in Colombia with music written by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, when you said Encanto, I just assumed, because I know that music was a big part of Coco, so I just assumed that was also tied into that.
And then Iwaju, I don't know if I'm saying that right, an original long-form series made in partnership with Kugali Media. I'm not sure what that is. Premiering in Disney 2022. And then we have a series of Pixar Disney Plus series. I'm going to scroll through this real quick because I'm not super interested. Then we have Pixar movies, which we have Luca, a movie set in Italy about a boy named Luca, so my cousin. We have Lightyear.
It's about Luca Brasi.
Oh my God. We have Lightyear, an origin story on Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. What the fuck?
Voiced by Chris Evans.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Which, by the way, it's a movie or show. Sorry, which one was it? Was it a movie?
It's a movie. Pixar movie.
It's a movie about the in-universe actual...
That's right.
character Buzz Lightyear that the toy
in-universe
is based on.
real Buzz Lightyear that the toy is based on.
Which is insane. It is insane.
I'm going to read this one verbatim. Turning Red, about a 13-year-old girl going through puberty that transforms into a giant red panda. And then in parentheses, yes, really. When she gets excited... Oh, the punctuation threw me off there. Turns into a giant red panda when she gets excited is in development.
Oh my god.
Good for that. I think that's good.
Now, more overt or less overt than the way it handled female puberty?
Other series in the works. We've got Noah Hawley making an Alien TV series for FX and Hulu.
FX on Hulu?
It says end.
Sorry, Brian.
FX on Hulu.
To Brian every time we say it.
Not TV, it's HBO. Will Smith and Chris Hemsworth in a National Geographic series. Ice Age getting a spin-off series starring Simon Pegg in. All right, what else we got on Disney Plus? What? Wait a minute. I don't think they know how to do math. Oh, no. Disney Plus is increasing its price to $8 a month starting in March 2021. Isn't it $8 a month?
Isn't it $6.99?
Oh, maybe you're right. Anyway, it's increasing to $7.99. Look out.
Didn't Netflix just announce a price hike too? Fuck all of them. Fuck all.
Disney's new bundle will offer ad-free Hulu plus Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. That's too many pluses. You can't do that in a headline for $18.99.
It's actually a good deal.
I was going to say that's a pretty decent. Yeah, that's not bad. Disney unveils. No, not interested. Don't care. Okay, so that didn't seem like 52 things even remotely. But I did see something.
I stopped caring after the Taika Waititi movie. I haven't seen any of those animated movies, so I don't care about the tie-in shows. I don't know. I just didn't care about any of the Disney stuff.
Well, there was one that was left off the list that I thought was part of this. Yeah,
Rachel McAdams. No,
The Mighty Ducks is coming back. The Mighty Ducks 4 featuring Emilio Estevez.
I think I totally missed that one.
That's The Mighty Ducks Game Changers release date confirmed? Question mark? This is not a great link. Anyway, I heard about this just before we started the show. And I wanted to start saying quack and then realized if I did that nobody would join me because I'm alone in this room. So I decided against it.
Where's Garbanzo and Chickpea? Get over here.
All right. Yeah, that's it for Disney Investor Day. But that's a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
A lot of stuff that we're not going to see a bunch of it for a while, but it's pretty cool. I think out of that, I mean, probably because it was the only one that I watched the teaser for, that Rogue Squadron teaser really got me amped up. I'm very excited. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. It's time for fun and games.
I have one. What I will be watching.
Curveball. What will you be watching?
Well, today on Amazon, they dropped the new season of The Expanse, so I will be watching that if I can find time.
Nice.
Which is going to be tough between football holidays, movies,
and Lord of the Rings,
TV show, Lord of the Rings, Cyberpunk, and also currently unannounced Spin Tune projects.
Oh, excellent. Good. You're talking about what you may be watching soon. I will drop what I have just concluded, and that is 5 seasons of Outlander.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Took me by surprise. It's just entertaining. Kim watched it by herself, really, really loved it, wanted me to watch it. We watched it together. We got through it way too quickly. That show's got some dark moments.
That's what I've heard. Dominic and his girlfriend Emily watch. I don't know if they're fully caught up. I think they were watching the most recent season, but I don't remember if they actually finished it or not. I've never watched, but I've heard the two of them talking about it. There sounds like there's some really dark shit in it. Yeah. Maybe that's something that can be discussed in future unannounced projects.
Interesting. It goes places for sure. All right, with that, let's get into some fun and games. What do you say?
Sure.
Today I have for you, we know which Christmas movie matches your personality, based on the holiday things you choose from BuzzFeed. But all right. How many items are on your Christmas list? Only about 5. I was too busy to write a full list. 10-ish. Do cookies, cakes, and syrup count? Is Santa really going to bring me anything? Is he really real? I'm dreaming of a white Christmas and a Nerf gun.
Wait, sorry,
Cole. Oh, there's more. Cole.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah. Cole, bah humbug. A computer, all the better to blog about you, my dear.
Oh, sorry. You said this was like my Christmas wish list or my like to-do list?
How many items are on your Christmas list?
Okay. Technically, I don't think I ever really made one. I don't think I ever told anyone what I wanted for Christmas this year. I might be getting nothing. It'd be great. And by great,
I'm not about the tell me what you want for Christmas. I'm not about that. I want to just get people things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes and no. It depends on who you're shopping for.
Yes, that's fair.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
Okay.
Well, we'll have one, I guess.
And the Nerf gun, to be clear.
Yes.
What's your favorite part about Christmas? The hot cocoa, cookies, and endless desserts? It's a time of giving.
Tonight.
Nice. It's a time of. I made Kim a boozy hot cocoa before I came down here.
That's exactly what I had before I came down here. So
nice. It's a time of giving and getting, but giving is most important. Family. We all get together and have a good time. Almost all of. Oh boy. Traveling. It's tougher this year. Traveling. There's a whole world to see out there, even if I have to work. What? The magic. Can't you just feel it in the air? Slamming the door in the carolers' faces. I don't need to hear that.
Let's go with the family one, I guess.
Okay. What time are you waking up on Christmas? When my family members wake me up around 10 a.m. just in time for breakfast. I'm still not convinced Santa's real, but 5 a.m. bright and early. I never went to sleep. Santa's coming. I went to bed at 6 a.m. It was a long night of buying Christmas decorations. 7 a.m. There's a schedule to keep too.
Jesus, probably some combination of 7 a.m. and when my family wakes me up. This year, it'll certainly be when my family wakes me up.
Nice. I'm curious.
We're not hosting anyone this year, so
yeah. I'm curious how this is going to translate to a movie. Who's cooking breakfast? Me. Can't wait. Everything is going to be deliciously sweet. My dog. I trained him to pop the toast. Significant other. They know what I like. Parents. They flew in just to cook the whole meal. The caterers. I've been smelling it all morning. I woke up by myself, so maybe there's bringing something back. Maybe they're bringing something back. Sorry. Is that a Home Alone? That's for Home Alone. That's 100% for Home Alone.
Oh, I don't know. I read that more as that sounded more like you know, when you hook up with someone and then you wake up and they're not there, like that old trope in like movies and shows and obviously real life too. And it's like I always think of Hitch where she wakes up and he thinks he's gone. She thinks he's gone, but he's actually getting 8 different coffees and teas, and then he comes back and then she's like, "Oh, great," you know. But I guess I'll go with my parents.
Okay. What's on the menu? Hot cocoa with marshmallow pancakes, French toast, and syrup. A banana, maybe some plain oatmeal, and definitely mimosas. Eggs, bacon, fruit. I gotta check some emails for work. Coffee, and a discussion about Christmas. That's start of the day. Just me, myself, and I. So cereal.
Sorry, the first one, it said something about French toast. What was the whole thing?
Hot cocoa with marshmallows, pancakes, French toast, and syrup.
That's too much. Let's go with bacon and eggs.
Okay, and work. When are you opening presents? Like I said, there's a schedule to keep. It's at 9 a.m. sharp. Coffee, then food, then check to see if Santa ate some cookies, and then presents. I don't care when everyone gets here, I guess. After dinner, the whole family will have returned by then. I was too excited. I might have peaked last night. Didn't we do that before breakfast?
I guess the schedule a 9 a.m. one because the mornings of Christmas are always scheduled.
Where are you watching your Christmas movies? Freeform, Netflix, Vudu, Lifetime, Prime, all of the above.
Freeform.
What is Freeform?
It used to be ABC Family.
Oh, interesting.
It's basically the exact same network. They just changed the name. I don't know why.
It's late afternoon. What are you doing? Still watching Christmas movies? I did say I had some emails to check. I've moved on from mimosas to spiked eggnog. It says egg no, but I refused to say that out loud. Crashing from all this sugar. Did someone say nap? Cleaning. There are guests coming over. Trying to peek at who's creeping up to my house. What?
The one about egg no.
Egg no. What's on the dinner menu? Turkey. My parents are cooking up, so I'm showing up to eat. My significant other is here. They cooked roast chicken and potatoes. I'm in charge of only care about the desserts, so a chocolate fountain. Ham. Family just got back, so we're ordering out from our favorite places.
The first one, although we don't do turkey on Christmas, we do big old roast beef.
Nice.
No, not roast beef, prime rib. Sorry.
Nice. Better. Much better. Finally, How are you ending Christmas night? Sleeping. I have work in the morning, but Bay is next to me, so it's all good. Snuggled up on the couch, watching the classic Polar Express in on.
I'm assuming that's supposed to say is on.
Probably. Sidebar: Polar Express garbage movie. I passed out after all those.
I read the book as a kid. Obviously, I liked it because every kid likes the book when they're a kid. I had aged out by the time the movie came out.
Sure. I watched the movie for the first time last year, and
I've seen parts of it, but I've never seen the whole movie. I know my mom hates the movie, but she liked reading the book when we were kids.
She knows. She knows what's up. I passed out after all those drinks, with a cookie in one hand and a cupcake in the other, under the mistletoe, pucker up. With my family, I really missed them more than I thought.
Sorry, was the one with the cookie and the cupcake separate from the drinking and passed out?
Yes.
The drinking and passed out.
I would like to select both of those. All right, so you got Home Alone, which is great. Say hello to my little friend. You are one tough cookie. You know how to take care of your home and yourself. You're not to be messed with, but you also have a soft center. You love your family, even when they get on your nerves. Otherwise, you wouldn't love Christmas the way you do, right?
That's all pretty accurate, actually.
I thought we were done with the questions. This is supposed to be the result. So you got Home Alone. Kim and I were trying to go through this before we cut to go to the movie. Kim and I were talking about this earlier, and we feel like we were missing a classic Christmas movie. And we had, let's rattle a couple off, and I'll tell you if it was on the list or not. We had Home Alone, we had Elf, we had Jingle All the Way, we had It's a Wonderful Life, we had, what'd you say?
Die Hard.
We had Die Hard, White Christmas, the National Lampoon's movie, even though neither of us are a big fan. Christmas with the Cranks. There's the Deck the Halls, the Santa Claus movies. There's something bigger that we both felt like we were missing a big movie that
Well, you didn't say Rudolph, so
I'm thinking more of like a theatrical release type movie, not like the classics, the Christmas classic. I do have those on DVD though, which I'm pretty excited about. I should tap into those.
Okay, so you're looking for like a live action.
Yeah. I feel like there was something big that we missed, and she felt the same way.
Yeah, so I mean, like what I would consider so you mentioned White Christmas, Christmas Vacation, Elf. You did Christmas with the Cranks, 4 Christmases?
I said that she hadn't seen it, so that wasn't on her list.
I never saw it, but you're missing the one that they play for 24 hours on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Story. Yeah, neither of us care for that one either.
Oh, I don't particularly like it, but that is a classic.
Yeah. No, we were thinking more along, like both of us were like it was almost it's like as if it's on the tip of your tongue, but you don't even know what the movie's about. Like there was something missing, I thought.
You didn't mention either of the Grinches.
We did, that did come up. The Grinch was on the list.
Lethal Weapon?
No, it was more of a direct holiday movie versus an indirect holiday movie.
Moonstruck.
No. Just any movie with snow.
Miracle on 34th Street.
Snow Dogs. Maybe that's what it was. I'm gonna have to ask her if that's what she was thinking about.
Both.
Interesting. Huh. All right. Hey, with that, Al, what do you say we get into our flick of the week?
Sure.
It's a Wonderful Life, released in 19 1946, rated PG with a 2-hour and 10-minute runtime. An angel is sent from heaven to help a desperately frustrated businessman by showing him what life would have been like if he had never existed. That is your IMDb synopsis. I think that's really funny. I think that's an amazing thing, considering that's an amazing synopsis, considering that's like the last act. Like the angel being sent, like everything else sets you up for that, right? But that's the last maybe 20 minutes of the movie?
Yeah, or maybe even a little longer, I guess, half an hour or so. It's... even though I do think that it's overall got a pretty good script, it almost feels like two separate movies that were stitched together in some ways. Because, like, the first two acts, despite the occasional, and I mean like once or twice, cut to the angels narrating it,
right?
Like, has nothing to do with it. We have no idea where that's going to lead to eventually, right?
Sure. But then once you have the whole package, it makes a lot of sense, right? Building up the character.
Sure.
Giving you a solid understanding of his background and his patterns and how he does things. Before we dive too deep into that, though, why don't you give me your tweet length review?
Well, before that, I'm going to read that this was...
You want to go award season?
First 5 Oscars? 6 Oscars?
Yeah, I read that too, and I was like, what are you saying here, IMDb?
Yeah, I'm
5 Oscars and 6 other? I'm confused.
Yeah. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role for Jimmy Stewart, Best Director for Frank Capra, Best Sound Recording, Best Film Editing.
Yep. What beat it out in 1946?
That is a great question. Well, I guess technically it's 1947 is when the
it's a good point.
Actually is. Oscars 1947. Oh, Jesus Christ, of course it's going to be obnoxious in the order it gives me the things.
Yeah, they're just all over the place, right? It's like sound
like
editing.
Actress, something totally random. Winner for actor was Frederick March in The Best Years of Our Lives. I know that's supposedly a classic. My parents love that movie. So,
okay.
I'm assuming that's the guy who's got the hook hands in the movie, would be my guess. Not 100% sure. The Best Years of Our Lives is about these, I think, 4 friends, like, in the time from, like, World War II on for, like, a decade or something like that.
Okay.
And it's, like, how, like, the guys come back from war and reintegrate in society, and, like, the women they marry and stuff like that, so.
Interesting. I'd watch that. I want to watch some more older movies. Because there's something special about watching this. Give me your tweet length. What do you got?
Sorry, I was trying to go see what won Best Picture, but of course it's in an obnoxious.
That's fine.
Directing was The Best Years of Our Lives as well. Best Motion Picture. Guess what? Best Years of Our Lives.
Oh, look out!
I guess I should have guessed that after all.
I mean, right? What were you expecting?
That's on me.
Well, what if we find out? Like, this was like this was the first year of the giant snub, right? Where it wins everything else. This was great. This was great. Movie. Movie as a whole. I'll buy it.
Without further digression, my tweet-length review. A small story about a small-town man takes an incredibly dark, depressing turn before giving way to a cocaine snort of nostalgia, feels, family, and joy.
Oh my god.
What even is this movie?
Wait, what was the last part?
What even is this movie? 7 out of 10.
Okay, all right. I think I have the answer to what I was going to ask you after I read mine. A simple, heartwarming, home-hitting, grounded human story, It's a Wonderful Life, expresses a message that should profoundly resonate with today's viewer, begging you to take stock and appreciate what you have. 9 out of 10. I was going to ask you where you stand on, I know, like, there's a lot of classic Christmas, like oldies, like old Christmas movies. We're doing now, it's the second year in a row that we're hitting an old one. We did White Christmas last year. We're doing It's a Wonderful Life this year. I was going to ask you what you preferred. Did you have a favorite? And I think It's a Wonderful Life is your what's it called? White Christmas is your favorite Christmas movie, though, right? So I feel like it goes without.
Yeah. So I have there's two Christmas movies I hold above all other Christmas movies. They're not particularly similar, so I'm okay with having them tied. My two favorite are White Christmas and Christmas Vacation.
Right.
And everything else is competing for third place.
Gotcha. I am going to be rewatching White Christmas this year, as last year was the first year that I saw it, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
Which still blew my mind.
Yeah. I hadn't seen this movie in a very, very long time. And I forgot how much I liked it. So it's going to be a tough call for me on between those two, which I prefer. I don't know that either one of them are necessarily going to be in my number one slot, considering that I wasn't watching them when I was younger, and something that has the nostalgia draw is probably going to be number one. Although that being said, I rewatched Elf last night. I think Elf is a good choice for anyone, and it's probably mine. It's so good.
I mean, that would probably be the front runner to land in third for me. Even though, like, I'm not by far the biggest fan of Elf, meaning, like, there are so many people who love that movie so much more than I do. I really like the movie. It's a legitimately good movie. I've actually grown to appreciate some aspects of it more as I've gotten.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's all those things. There's honestly one of the things that always gets me. It's such a stupid little thing. Will Ferrell's delivery when he tells the story about how he journeys to New York City, where he goes, I passed through, the land of swirling and twirling gumdrops, through the candy cane forest, and then through the Lincoln Tunnel. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm not doing it justice, but there is something in his delivery of that line that gets me every time.
Yeah. I'm with you. This last watch of it, I was laser focused on Walter Hobbs. Is that his name? That's his name, right?
What's his name?
James Caan. Yeah. And one particular line that had always made me laugh in the past, but for whatever reason, it really hit me this time. And Kim and I kept going back, kept bringing it up, was when he goes, we got to get rid of him. And the wife is like, we can't just throw him out in the snow. Why not? He loves the snow. He told me 15 times.
I was half watching it the other day, and that scene was on, and that one, I think that's one of the ones that I've grown to appreciate more through time. Like, that's actually really funny with him just being the total straight man there. Like, with like pure exasperation. Like, I truly do not understand why we cannot. I believe he will be happier, actually. I'm saying that both because it serves my agenda and because I sincerely believe it in this moment.
Right. But anyway, back to It's a Wonderful Life. So I hadn't seen it in a very long time. This is one of your yearly watches, am I right?
Yeah. The thing is, I do appreciate the movie. It is a good movie. Mm-hmm. The middle act is so soul-crushing to me that it almost outweighs the rest of it. Because I like the first act of the movie, and I like the final probably 10 minutes of the movie the most.
Yeah.
That whole cocaine snort thing I was talking about.
Yeah. When you snort cocaine off an angel's wing. Yeah.
Exactly. It does get really heavy, and like I appreciate it, like, because like you have to earn that cocaine snort at the end.
Sure.
But it's just not really what I need for my Christmas time enjoyment, is what it comes down to. Like,
gotcha.
I don't always put a big emphasis on, like, I need to have the happy ending and the big saccharine feelings.
But that's what you're looking for.
But in that specific moment of Christmas time, it is what I want. Like, the other 11 months of the year,
it gets there though.
It does. It's just it's almost outweighed by the darkness that comes before it, because like there are parts of it that make me truly angry.
I can see where you're coming
from. The
from.
movie and just like at the human condition, which is, I guess, the idea to some extent. But like, to me, for Christmas specifically, like I said, 11 other months of the year, you can give me some dark, deep, heavy shit. Like, we've done a lot of it on the show. Like, I've talked about enjoying that sort of stuff. It's just not what I need for Christmas.
Yeah, no, I understand. I totally get where you're coming from, and that's totally fair. I find that long, slow burn in the middle that really drags you down. It makes for this incredible turnaround in the end with just such a punch of emotion. Your Coke snort, my punch of emotion, like where it's just like you just like I feel like you really feel something at the end. And
it's your heart palpitations.
Yeah, but I don't know, it's something special about it. I really like this one. I think if right now thinking about it, this one's freshest in my mind. I do want to rewatch White Christmas so I can give it a better comparison and pick one over the other. The first time I think I maybe watched this once or twice in the past. I haven't seen it a lot of times. But I didn't realize that they had added color for another release.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I sent you the picture of the DVD copy of it that I have. Yeah. And I know, as much as I know that angers you. Mm-hmm. And I watched it in color for the first time in my life. I've always watched it in black and white.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was getting at, is the previous time that I had watched it, time or times, it had been in black and white on TV. This was on Prime, and there were 3 options. And I was like, 3? And the one was 4K, and you had to pay for it on top of your Prime membership. And I was like, that's odd. And then the other one was the original black and white, and then the third was original color. And then I was like, oh. So I put that one on. I was amazed. I thought it was going to look odd. I thought it was going to look a little bit colored in. But the way that it was translated to color, I'm not really sure how that went down. Like, was it on a color film that they didn't have color means to project it? Like, it looked very natural.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked back then. What I assume is that it was shot on film that was color capable, but that could be developed either way. And because the mode of television at the time was black and white, that was the widest release.
Right. That would make sense.
Because obviously there's a black and white and a color version, and then it became black and white 2 color version of Wizard of Oz, and that movie is 7 years before this, 8 years before this, something like that.
Yeah, and I guess that's the interesting thing, right? Is that that's what threw me off, was that it's so like it felt like it was a natural color recording, just because there was no instance watching it where something felt off. Which I have seen things that have been colored. Yeah, that you can tell.
I know I'm kind of speaking out of school here to say it like this, but I think back then the film could be developed either way. It's just that it was cheaper.
It's probably
to do it
the
in black
distributed
and white. And
version
that
was black and white.
Version that everyone was going to see it in.
That makes total sense.
But they had the option to do it in color if they wanted.
I really enjoyed it though. It added this layer of life to it. But I thought the color just made expressions on people's faces, like the scenery. It made everything pop a little bit more. I never really gave to like. I love seeing a movie, like I loved watching Logan in black and white, right? Like I love going the other way. I never went in the reverse direction and been like, oh, wow.
I've seen a couple of things that way. What I will say is, as much as generally the black and white thing, for whatever reason, is odd to me. Maybe it's just because I don't see it very often that it's like strikes me as odd. There are certain scenes and sequences that are almost kind of noir-esque that really do lend itself to the black and white, where the heavy shadows and the grayscale actually, I think, adds a bit of character to what's going on in specific scenes.
Sure.
But in general, things being in color are more vibrant and lend a greater depth of character. But there are certain specific scenes like
the bar scene or the scene on the bridge, things like that.
The bridge scene in particular, yes.
Yeah.
Like being in black and white with the shadow split across his face, as you can see the kind of madness as he grapples with what he's going to do next.
Right.
Like, that is really tense and fraught in the moment. So I actually appreciate that in black and white. And I didn't find that the color added to that scene.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think more so like the school dance, the romance out on the street, the lasso down the moon scene, like those things in color, like thinking like, I never thought about like, it never clicked that he was wearing a football uniform that he had pulled out of the lockers for me. Like, and it's something about the color added a little bit more of an understanding of what was going on in the scene.
The number didn't give it away.
Well, I just like wasn't. I guess I just like wasn't really paying attention to it. Like it was all kind of blurring together for me. I really do enjoy things in black and white. I loved photography when I was younger, and I took a lot of black and white classes, and I really enjoyed it. And I enjoy seeing movies in it. I just, like I said, it's very rare, if ever, that I've gone from black and white to color versus the other way, and been like, I'm as excited.
Generally, I find the black and white thing to be kind of pretentious, like in modern time, like where it's like, oh, this is done in black and white, or oh, we converted this to black and white. It's like, you're doing that like that. Honestly, like it feels pretentious, like in Roma, like that's, or Nebraska, like that movie that came out a few years ago. Like it's like that used to be done because that was the only way you could do something, and then it was because that was the most accessible way for more people to see the thing, right? And they worked within the confines of that in a way to like heighten that, but there are limitations overall to that color allows you to transcend. And so actively choosing to tie one hand behind your back, to me, feels like you're trying to prove a point that I don't think is worth proving. I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing here. For whatever.
How did you feel about? Did you watch Logan in like Logan Noir or whatever it was called? The black and white version of it. I didn't
see the black and white one.
I really liked that only because the movie itself had it felt like an old Western, right? So like I feel like having a version of it that even more closely ties it to that felt pretty cool to watch.
No, but I remember the phenomenon when they re-released the first season of The Walking Dead in black and white, and I was like, but why?
Yeah, that's not it. Yeah.
Like, there's very few exceptions in the modern era where it really makes sense to me. Like, it made sense to me. And obviously it's like a heightened, stylized version, and they kind of play within the confines where they do more so or less so. But like Sin City, it made sense to me because they were playing up the noir angle and they were trying to make it look like a comic book. And so I understood that. And to some extent, I understand the Walking Dead thing because that is a black and white comic book. But they don't really shoot it in that format. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the way that Sin City did. So...
There's something with The Walking Dead black and white comic book, though. It's more that it's like the absence of other things. Like I feel like the panels are very tightly focused on the specific thing that's happening, and that black and white helps with making that feel more detailed. Yeah. And you were talking about a full screen production of a TV show that was in color. It does, for something like that, it definitely doesn't land.
So, like, the only other thing that wasn't, like, a gimmicky thing in that regard, because those two things I just mentioned were comic book related, the only thing that I can think of in the last 30 or 40 years that did it, that is quote-unquote a gimmick, but actually makes sense and I think enhances it, is Schindler's List. That's the only movie that really makes sense to me because it's being done not from a filmography standpoint to prove a point, but rather as a part of the actual storytelling and thematic, like delivery of the story, the black and white, to then be able to add the one splash of color in as part of the like character development and like delving into the entirety of what that movie is supposed to represent, that time period is supposed to represent. I actually found it to be powerful in that movie in a way that I've never felt in any other movie I've seen in the modern era.
Now, something like Schindler's List, though, was that shot? Do you know if that was shot on black and white film?
Oh, you're definitely asking the wrong person. I'm not a cinematographer.
I'd be curious because I remember developing film and a black and white roll developed, like developing black and white pictures from a black and white roll had a very different look to it than a color roll developed in black and white. And I'm curious.
Yeah, I would not know. That's not my forte.
Yeah, I'll have to take a deep dive on that. Probably when we do that movie eventually. Since I have not seen it.
Wait, you've never seen Schindler's List?
No, that's one of the ones that's like high on my list that I just haven't gotten to. It's so strange.
I mean, it's not. Listen, it's not one that you fire up because, like, oh, like I love it. Like, it's so dark, so heavy. It's the type of movie that honestly you really just need to see once. Mm-hmm. You just need to see once to appreciate what it's all about. The story is incredible. It's obviously based on a true story. I honestly don't remember historically how much they like strayed from the source. I don't know. I watched it in high school, like in school. Like it was presented to us in a history class over the course of however 3 or 4 days, or however long it took us to watch it. It is a really good movie. My recollection, even from the time, was that it was very powerful, both as film and as for what it was supposed to be representing. And I was not at all a cinephile at the time. Mm-hmm. But it's not the type of, like, I've seen bits of it since then. It's not really the type of thing that you just go to revisit for the hell of it. Like, you watch it for a reason, whether you feel like you need to be connected to that material or whether you're studying it for some sort of art purpose, right? Like, you don't just be like, oh, Schindler's List is on, let me fire that up. Like, it is kind of taboo in that regard. It's why the joke stuck in Seinfeld in itself. That's a layered joke that is fraught with a lot of things that you have to carefully engage with, where Jerry goes to Schindler's List and with a date and they're making out in the movie theater while watching the movie. Like, that is not a joke I would have written. That Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David can write. It's not one that I would write, you know?
Right. That's funny. I will definitely get to it, and we'll do it on the show. It'll be great. Because it's
so
something
you're gonna force
that
me to sit down and watch it again. I mean,
it's been
12 years or something like that since I've seen it.
But anyway, back to It's a Wonderful Life. I love the performances in this movie. I think this is a very early version of, these people seem to really be getting along. They probably are getting along as much off screen as they are on. I felt like him and his uncle, George and his uncle, George and Mary mid movie, like early on, it's like a little contentious, but like when they click, it seems so natural. I thought the chemistry was wild. I think they do a really great job. And it feels like they're having a lot of fun.
I do wonder, and I'm sure I'm misremembering or kind of overly paraphrasing, but I thought some of this production was kind of rough from what I recall. And the reason I say that is, like, Jimmy Stewart was supposed to be a good guy and was a really good actor. Like, he served in the military. Like, actually, from what I understand, the military tried to hold him back from the front lines, and he demanded to be a frontline fighter pilot, and, saw combat, despite the military's attempts to hold the famous actor away from that,
Right.
And from what I understand, this movie, he used it as a vehicle to help process his trauma from being in the war, despite his need to serve, leading to him wanting to demand frontline combat. Obviously, no matter how gung-ho you are, being it and seeing it, you're going to have trauma from that experience. Mm-hmm. So from what I understand, a lot of this movie was like, he used it as his time to help process that trauma of being in war.
I wonder, that seems to translate really well to the struggle that this man is going through as fulfilling the duty and the responsibility that he's put on himself at the expense of all of his dreams.
Well, I think he could tap into it in his manic scenes, right? Like, he could tap into that, would seem like a cathartic way to go about things. So I do wonder, how much is acting and how much is outlet when he's really going down the rabbit hole in that. And some of that leads to, honestly, like, borderline aggressiveness to his co-star in the scene, including his wife on the screen. Like, now there's scenes where, like, things are good, and then there you see the chemistry, but when things are bad, actually, it makes me a little uncomfortable at times. Like, it feels too real. It feels maybe like it's not even fully acting.
Well, okay, that's right. Too real, I feel like it's an interesting line, right? Because it's too real could mean that they're doing a very good job.
Sure, but I will use, like, this is kind of the mirror image version of, like, the joke I make about Ben Affleck being too real in things because he's not acting, he's just a douchebag, you know what I mean?
Right.
This is, like, the opposite side of that, where it's I'm made uncomfortable because it's too real. It feels like he's not acting crazy. It feels like he's allowing the crazy in him to come out. And
interesting.
I don't know. This is my read of it, like from like a critical standpoint. I'm not saying that because I know it. I'm not accusing him of anything, but to me, that's how it struck me because I know some of that context.
Sure. I will say though, like it seems like for a good actor to deliver a believable performance, the best way that they could do that would be to draw on an experience, and it does seem like that's what's happening there. I will say, in those moments where it seems almost too real, especially when he's being a little bit aggressive, like there is something like the love that Mary shows for him in those scenes, though. Like, do you like it? There's not a second that I don't believe that she is madly in love with him from day one.
Yes, but there's also fear too in some of those scenes, and again, because of kind of how I'm made a little bit uncomfortable by what he's doing, I wonder if some of the fear in her eyes is real.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious as well. I will until I know otherwise. I will just assume that they are both tremendous actors.
Sure, no, but both things can be true, right? Like it's all by degrees, and like Frank Capra and Jimmy Stewart and actually I forget her name. They're all long since passed, so I certainly can't ask them, right?
Donna Reed,
that's right. And like, I don't mean any of this to tarnish it. I just know that because I know a little bit of the backstory, it makes me wonder at times while watching it. But that being said, there is also great performance, even if you take some of those scenes out of the equation. Like, you know, there's some, even though you were mocking it, and some of it is a little bit mocking worthy because it's just a different time, right? Like the acting and script and direction was different then. The movies were different then. The scene when they're out together in the moonlight and he talks about lassoing the moon, like it actually
I'll lasso the moon down for you. Mary!
Like it's just his voice, right? You know what I mean? Like yours is kind of bridging the gap between him and Don Knotts in that impression, but like that is good performance by him, and there's some great jumps to levity and to like more deep serious thing. Like actually he cracks me up when she falls into the bushes and she's
and he's talking about how he's going to sell tickets.
And like as fucked up as it is, obviously some of that is really well delivered by him. You know, he goes, well, no, can't do that. No,
that won't work.
Just the way he does all that, like, and kind of ruminating on all this, and like some of that really cracks me up and is really great delivery.
Oh yeah, so absolutely. That scene is pretty fantastic.
And also that old man sitting on the porch, you know, he goes, what are you gonna kiss her already? Whatever. He goes, what? He goes, ah.
I will say it's funny you had brought up him being in war and maybe potentially pulling on that. A thing that bothered me, maybe it broke my heart a little bit, was and it repeatedly broke my heart throughout the movie, is him constantly having to put everything on hold. And the older that he gets and the further out the movie gets, you see in him how he's realizing that I'm not putting it on hold, I'm abandoning it. Yes. And it hurts to watch, specifically because you realize like he's torn. He's not torn. He's a better, maybe a better man than I, like where he is, it's not even a question in his mind, right? Oh, his brother has this incredible thing going for him. I would never even consider asking him to help me with this. Like I will take this on so that he can live this experience that he's found himself in. Like the things that he's...
It's true, but on the other hand, I also want to yell at him and shake him at times like, no, you've paid your price. Slap your brother upside the head and say, hey, it's your turn. Like, and I want to slap the brother upside the head too. Like, hey, how oblivious can you be? Mm-hmm. Like, to realize the gifts that have been given to you overtly and more covertly by your brother and your father and your mother. Like, fuck, man. Like, if you're like you went to war, like service is your thing. Do you not realize there's a chance for you to serve at home too?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's what I'm saying though. Is like watching the movie without the context that you gave me. I was more frustrated about that, right? I was like, no, like, he deserves a break. Like, it's actually, like, it's a little bit, in my, like, watching like, halfway through the movie, like, I'm watching, I'm like, oh, no, this is a little bit on you. Like, it's tough, but you need to do what you have to do for you, because, like, it's really everybody else, everything will carry on. But if you put into context the idea of, if you took if you pair it up with the idea of him being sent to war, for example, right? If you took the choice out of it, that's how it's performed. And that's an example of what you're saying of maybe he's drawing very heavily from real experience, and maybe it is a little too real on screen, is that, like, in our minds in 2020 watching it, you're thinking he has a choice, right? But it's performed as if he doesn't have a choice.
Well, it's also funny that he is playing a role that is so diametrically opposite to who he was in real life. Not in the sense of service versus not service, but the fact that he can't go to war and makes it his own personal war, whereas then he, in real life, actually had to go to war and did all the things that his brother did. He was the war hero, you know what I mean? Like, in real life.
Oh, man. I think the movie's got more layers than I realized at first.
Oh, yeah. No, that's part of what brings the grade up for me, because honestly, like, I wouldn't say that I derive a ton of enjoyment from watching the movie, but it does help to properly contextualize things like life and service and family and self-sacrifice and appreciating what you have and not putting an emphasis on what you can't have and all of those things. Like, there are legitimate life lessons in this movie.
Yeah, like, and I was a little bit torn on that. Like, I feel like a main point that they're trying to get across is the whole, appreciate, like take a minute and be positive for a second. Think about the good versus the bad, right? Because, like, we're all pretty good at wallowing in self-pity and thinking about only bad things. If you take a minute, you have a lot of good things that are going for you. Like, that idea is great. And you should, I feel like they're showing you that, but I had a hard time with it a little bit, and I almost knocked a point off, and at the end of the day, I didn't, just because I was trying to think of something like along the lines of, like, the times and the fact that they even got that far. Like, the idea of a lot of this he put on himself because he made it his responsibility versus it being that it actually was. Like, there are going to be scenarios, right, where, like, you're the only person that can do this. Like, if you don't, like, a lot of bad will come from it, or it could be a lot better. Like, you could lose out to provide a lot of positivity in one direction. But in this case, it seems like he was constantly pulling himself down, right? And that's what was frustrating, was he was abandoning everything. He was so excited. He had a passion, right? There were people. And I think what's funny about it, there was that one other, the other actress who I don't remember what her name was. Actually, did they say her name? Violet.
Yeah.
Where this is the character that is lost, doesn't know what they want to do, it seems like. And he's the opposite. He knows exactly what he wants to do, but can't do it. She doesn't know what she wants, but if she did, she could do it.
Yeah.
And, like, I think that's something super powerful. And she doesn't get a ton of screen time.
Yeah, because in the end, right, he gives her the ability to go do, because he can't and she can. And so he makes that happen for her.
And that is Violet, portrayed by Gloria Graham. How would you pronounce that? Grahame.
I mean, I've seen it Graham or Graham.
Graham. Yeah. All right. Anyway, that was Violet. But yeah, that was an interesting thing too. Like, I think I think they also they did a great job with the young age version of the character versus the adult version, right? Like, all the three of those kids in that shop early on, and, like, how they perfectly resemble the three of them older. I think they did like those kid actors were killing it. By the way,
yeah, especially I guess probably Harry. Oh, not Harry. Oh, jeez, Mary and himself. The scene where he's with Mr. Gower, where he's he's telling him about his son and he's slapping them and everything like that.
Oh my God, what a
the
scene.
Poison, like that's a rare instance where child actors actually living up to the material.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that whole thing was strong. And it's like I like, you know, a lot of times you see like a kid like who gets super emotional on like screen, like crying, whatever. It's like it feels cheesy or fake. Like that kid, I bought that kid just got slapped in his bad ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I also, one of the things that right then and there, right, it's, you get a hint of it because he jumped in to save his brother, but you get a hint of it, another hint of it that's like more obvious in that scene of he understands what responsibility is and he takes it like he takes it the mantle like right away. Like he needs to do it, right? He needs to like, it could be easy for me to even, he could have even gone to the person and been like, look, said something. Maybe he dropped the pills. He could have made up a story, right? But no, he did the very adult and mature thing of he confronted the pharmacist, knowing full well that it was not going to go well for him when he went in there. Like you could see how timid he was being doing it. But he took on that responsibility.
To put on a kid's shoulder, right? Because he knows if I take this to someone else, or even if I take it to the customer and be like, hey, I think we gave you the wrong thing. Like, she's going to call up Mr. Gower and be like, hey, you fucked up. Give me a refund. Give me whatever. And then he's going to freak out. You know, what is he going to say? Oh, I dropped the pills. And then he's going to get slapped too. And like, not accomplish the thing of letting him know and breaking through his pain and anguish to get through to him.
It's a big scene. Yeah, for sure.
That's too much to put on a kid that age's shoulders.
Yeah. It's a lot. Well, it's a amazing scene. But going back just before that, when they're actually inside the shop and Mary's sitting on the counter and George bends over to scoop the ice cream. Also, the whole thing about putting coconut on the ice cream and the explanation of where it's from, like that whole, like his excitement, his thirst for adventure and travel, like from that young age, and really, like in his mind, that's what he's gonna do. And then not to be able to, that adds to how heartbreaking it is like, this is not a thing that he established recently. This is something that he longed for from the time that he was like a young kid.
Could learn how to read. Like,
yeah, which is it's wild. But that scene where he bends down to scoop the ice cream and she whispers into his bad ear, George Bailey, I'll love you forever. Or I'm going to love you forever. Whatever the line is, I was just like, oh, this is so good. What a way to set up this relationship now. For the audience, and she never wavers from her love for George,
which also sets up like a great line when he's wandering back and forth. She goes, "What do you want a picket line?"
Yeah.
I don't think I appreciated that when I was younger. It cracks me up now. And then also follow, like she does get actually two great lines, like right back to back there, because then, who's that down there? It's George Bailey. What does he want? He's making violent, passionate love to me. And not 5 minutes later, he is basically making violent, passionate love to her.
Well, yeah, he's making 1946 on-screen love to her. Yeah, for sure. That scene is intense, right? Like that's not, again, you got to take it into the context of the year. That's like on-screen intense of the mother upstairs being, oh dear, as they're talking into the phone together and looking into each other's eyes and breathing heavily. Like breathing heavily is like, I mean, this movie could have been rated R.
Breathing heavily, grasping each other, like nuzzling, I guess, because they're not actually making out at first. They're kind of, it's like they don't know how. Exactly the way that scene starts, and I'm like, what's going on here exactly?
Yeah. I do love in that scene the way that she starts off like trying to make George jealous when she's on the phone, but it's not working because he's just too much in his head, and he eventually gets there. But
also like he leaves for a moment.
Yeah.
He literally physically leaves the premises.
I do like that, like I feel like Mary is such a strong character in that, like,
and she's admittedly very limited screen time and total lines. She really doesn't have a ton of lines. She
that's true.
Like, makes the most of them.
But she's established like early on, and like this is what, like in the similar way to this, George was like, this is what I want to do. Like Mary is infatuated with George from the get-go, but like not in like obsessed with him way, but like it seems like a pure love kind of way. Like she loves George, and she never wavers from that throughout the movie. Like that's why I say she's a strong character. Even when he's in his darkest, she's so supportive of a character throughout the entire relationship and movie. Like she doesn't waver.
Well, you especially see it right at the end when he like throws the mother of all temper tantrums, which like what's going on for him is truly catastrophic, right? Although to me, like I've gotten to the point in my life now where I'm like, man, he's like, I don't know, let's take a guess. 35 years old. He's got, was it 3 or 4 kids? 4 kids, right? He's got a wife and 4 kids. He's barely holding together his mortgage and his job and all that. And your fuck up of an uncle lost all that money? No, you roll over and your uncle takes the fall. And you know what? Like, what does he have in his life? No, you don't take the fall.
Yeah.
I understand like your whole thing has been like service and I'm going to take the bullet and this and that. But like, no, you cannot leave your wife and 4 children in the lurch. Plus like the whole fucking town, which by the way, like that probably would have fallen apart too if they couldn't have got the money together, whatever. But like your wife and children need you much more than your uncle does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when I said, like, I know, like you had mentioned, she doesn't have a lot of screen time, and when I say like she's a strong character, it's like I think that her family was what was important to her, right? And she also seemed to have like her art passion, which they only touch on a little bit, but I do feel like that creativity was coming out in like how they built up this broken down house, and especially in the honeymoon scene, which is just an incredible scene, right? Like her thought of getting the posters and lining them up and pretending that they're on the trips, right? Like that, like she has this incredible creative side, and her love. Like I feel like it's that, like those are the two things that I feel like she define. Like, I mean, granted, it's on paper, that's what defines her, but like the character seems to define herself by her passions in art and for her family. And
and I would say it was to like your point, the whole strength thing when he throws that temper tantrum and leaves, and you know, she doesn't scream and yell at him. She's not like, you know, good riddance. There's not any of that sort of thing. It's immediately concern, and the kids are like, "Oh, what do we do?" And she says, "You know, pray very hard. Your father needs us right now."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like again, like to your point about her not wavering, it could have been, you know, that son of a bitch. You know, what is he doing, bringing that attitude to the house? No, this is bad, and he's in a dark he needs
spot.
Me to be his rock right now.
It's like it's weirdly emotionally intelligent, right? Where at the same time, it's like if you were on the outside, if you weren't watching this as a movie and you were a friend of hers, you'd be concerned, right? If she had told you any of this, you'd be thinking like, "Are you okay? Like, should you still be in this house?" Because it does. If she would have just relay the story, it would sound almost violent, right?
Yeah,
But that's not what the picture that is actually painted. And like I don't think Mary's character is ever in harm in those scenes. Whereas again, if like you were to just be like word of mouth explain the situation, it would have sounded bad. I don't know. It's curious, but but it is also interesting. It's like, man, like she's a saint in the movie. She never once has a complaint, it seems. Maybe there might be one time like early on where she's frustrated with him not fully grasping the concept that she wants to be with him, and obviously he likes her too. like there's that, but I feel like otherwise she's never really, I don't know, she's saint-like in the movie.
Yeah.
And oh my god, this was a silly thing Kim and I kept doing. We were watching the movie. They have those kids, right? There's the adorable girl playing the piano, right? There's the older son.
Why are we gonna have all these kids?
Yeah. Oh god. that was a heavy one.
Which, by the way, all 4 of those kids heard him scream that. Like,
yeah, 100%. But there's the little girl playing the piano, adorable. There's the older son who seems mature and almost like a George Jr. And maybe that might have even been his name. I'm not sure, but he seems like he's going to be on the same track as his dad. There's what's her name? Lizzie, the sick girl who is 100% their favorite child, and
yeah, it's Zuzu, and Zuzu's pedals would be a tremendous indie rock band.
Yes. Okay. First off, that's our band's name. Gotta trademark that shit. We'll make one song. Actually, no. We'll release publicly as its own single our version of the Avengers theme under Zuzu's pedals. Oh man, I like that. And then there's the young boy. And this is the part that we were joking at. But like, this is a terrible joke. We acknowledge to each other that the jokes that we're making are about to be terrible. But we're like, we can't stand the young boy. He's just, for whatever reason, he's super irritating.
Wait, Timothée Chalamet was in this?
No, not the boy.
Oh, sorry.
But their youngest boy child, who was just at an age of annoying things where it was like, where they were like, oh, like when he's coming around, he's like, never stop playing the piano. And then like the girl's feeling okay upstairs, and the son, he's like, I'm sorry. And then they look at the little boy, and they were like, ugh. That's they don't really say.
Is Timothée Chalamet the Meg of this movie?
Oh no! Yes.
What is he? He's just roaring like a tiger at him.
I don't remember what he was doing, but I was irritated. And I didn't just lose $1 billion in the 46th time.
Tigers for the first time.
Yeah, that was just a silly thing. Like, it was not like that. Obviously not serious, but it's like, sometimes kids are at an age that's not appealing, and that's where he was.
No, he's gotta know.
He's gotta know. He's always crying. Can we talk about for a second the villain of this movie, Mr. Potter, first Voldemort?
I was gonna say first Scrooge McDuck, but
yeah, I think he's still Voldemort, and I think his wheelchair is a Horcrux, or maybe his butler guy that pushes him around.
By the way, the levels of egocentrism when he tries to woo George, and George comes and sits down in that tiny fucking chair.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know how tall he was in real life, but in movie dumb, like, Jimmy Stewart is very tall. Mm-hmm. And when he's in that chair, he is significantly shorter than Mr. Potter.
Well, hang on. Props, though, to him and set design and the director and the cinematographer, because he was slunk in the seat to make that happen.
Oh, it's 100% intentional, but
they pulled it off so well, and it was so meaningful.
Yeah,
he got smaller as the scene went on.
Yeah, no. It's the joke from Scary Movie 3 where the sheriff comes, and every time they cut away from her and they cut back, her hat is just slightly bigger than it was before. Until by the end, the hat is this big and it can't fit inside the car window.
Right. Oh man, no, that's a scene. That's a hard one to watch, right? You see him. There's that glimpse for a second of like giving in, and then but he composes himself, and like there's the things that he stands for. And he's like, I'm not gonna do. He's like, no, I'll give you my answer now. Like that. He does this whole thing.
For a second there, when he takes the cigar and he's hanging. Well, because he does two. Actually, sorry, I messed up. Because there's two separate scenes, right? There's the scene where he goes and he's sitting on the chair, and then there's the scene where he's invited in and wooed with the cigar, and he's smoking the. Oh, please let me light the cigar for you. Oh, I'll send a box to your house for Christmas. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he falls for. You know what it reminded me of was a little bit is Luke in The Last Jedi, where he goes, oh my god, you went right to the dark side. You didn't even put up a fight.
Yeah.
for just a second, that's what he's doing. It's, oh, you're really smart and great, and I really admire you. And here, a cigar. Let me send some for the fit. How is your family, by the way? You know?
Yeah.
No!
Dude.
No!
This resonates really well with me. The first job offer that I got after my first full-time gig was that doubled my salary.
Oh.
And I turned it down in the end. And it was because I was sitting there, I was getting I was getting all sweet talked, right? Into like all this stuff, these things that were happening, all like the options, the salary, everything sounded amazing. And something wasn't quite right it wasn't sitting quite right with me when I walked into the place the first time. And I got that. I was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, "I really appreciate it. I'll think it over." I was in a tough spot at my first job where I was like, "I need something," so I just ended up using it as leverage to get a raise and a promotion where I was at for a while before I left, probably like 4 months later. But anyway, the point being, I was like, something's not right. Like I just didn't feel it. Like it wasn't right. But I was like starting to things were starting to unfold in my mind of what was going on. I was like, and when I walked out, the thing that really hit me was like, there's no windows in this office. I was like, and then a friend of mine went there, and it turned out to be just a complete shit show. And I was like, whoo, dodged that bullet. But anyway, I felt like George getting sweet talked by Mr. Potter. Anyway, Mr. Potter is Lord Voldemort. Can we talk about one thing here? The uncle.
The last thing on Potter is
there's
a line in that, I forget exactly when it happens. I think it might have been in the board meeting when he votes to dissolve the savings loan, but I'm not 100% sure, where he calls him a warped, frustrated old man.
Yeah.
My brother has been calling my dad that for years. And we watched the movie together a couple weeks ago before we were going to do this. And my brother's like, wait, that's what this is from? And I was like, you've been saying that for how long? And you didn't realize this is what it was from? Like, I just assumed it all this time. Like, we've watched the movie a million times. Like, you had to realize you were repeating it from this movie.
That's amazing. That's so good. Huh. That's awesome. One of the scenes, it was really funny. So let's break it down, right? Savings and loan, they're gonna get something's going awry. All of the customers are coming in, they're pulling out their money, right? George is gonna keep them satisfied with their honeymoon dollars. And by the end of that scene, they have a couple of bucks left, and they close the doors, and they did it. They did it. And Kim was like, I don't understand what they did. she's like, I don't get why it's still okay. And I was trying to explain it, and I was like, I don't even really know. Like, I kind of get it, but don't fully how it works on paper. But like how it's okay what they just did, or like how it keeps them open, and how making it until 5 that day will work for the tomorrow. Yeah.
It's obvious how it keeps them open. It's not okay.
Okay.
At least for their own personal sake, because they're not getting that money back. Like, they'll be lucky to get pennies on the dollar.
Sure. But now, how does it keep them open? Oh, I guess because all of the money that they already have in the biz is still in, right? Because that came out of their pocket. Those payouts.
So it's complicated. So this is in a time.
Welcome to Economics and a Six.
What's that?
Welcome to Economics and the Six.
Well, financials in a six.
Financials in a
keep
six.
The F, right? So this was in a time prior to. Well, that was before the war, right? That was before the brother came back, I think.
It was while he was away, isn't it?
The brother came back before he gets with Mary. Sorry.
That's right.
I don't remember 100% if FDIC and NCUA had been ratified. I know they were part of not the New Deal, or was that the New Deal that FDR did? No, it was the New Deal was what LBJ did. What the hell was the FDR did? The whole series of stuff, the laws, the programs that they created to help get us out of the Depression in World War II, and prior to World War II and then during World War II. So during the Great Depression, there were runs on the banks because this is so woefully inadequate to teach anyone about any of this stuff. So, right, like we had the Roaring 20s, everyone was super prosperous, the stock market was great, people were borrowing and trading on incredible margins because money and liquidity was so available, as was value, there was growth opportunity. But what happens is when you allow such big margin, the slightest thing that happens that throws it off requires margin call, where like you like have collateral up for all this money that's being lent to you, whether it be for like building or for personal loan or for trading stock, right? And if the institution needs the money and they put out a margin call, you have to give up X amount to make good on that loan, a portion of the loan at least, to them. If you can't, you default, right?
Mm-hmm.
If everyone is an excessive margin and they do margin calls and none of them can offer back the money that is owed to the institution goes into crisis and stocks start dropping, rates start going nuts on lending, all that, and then everyone starts to panic. This is in a day prior to FDIC and NCUA, which protected the government, became the backing to all of these banks as confidence so that you wouldn't like do a run on these things, right? Because like if the bank says, oh my God, we need money, like things aren't going great in the stock market, all of a sudden you owe, like we lent you $50,000 and you lent me $100,000, whatever, and we're doing a margin call of 20% of whatever was loaned, right? If you can't make that payment and I can't make that payment and everyone can't make the payment, the bank no longer has the cash on hand to do what they need to do, which is why you have the margin call to begin with. And so because they don't, and the bank is in panic, the people who are invested in that bank panic as well. And you are worried that the money is not going to be available if you need it tomorrow. So you run to the bank and you take your money out of it. So now, forget about just the margin call because the bank was short on the money. They don't even have the cash reserves that they were holding at the moment. So they're now even further in the hole.
Right.
And so now the actual supply of money available in the market is low because everyone is physically holding their cash reserves. So there is no flow of money anymore, and rates continue to skyrocket, prices go haywire, the value of money is totally volatile. Prior to FDIC, banks would just cease to exist, and the value that was supposed to exist with it, you had a promise from the bank that the $500 you deposited with them would come back to you, right? Whenever you wanted it. Well, the bank doesn't exist anymore, so that $500 is gone.
Right.
And so that's what's happening in this time. There's a run on the bank.
That explains that people are concerned because they're thinking the savings and loan is going to go poof.
Yes, and so
thus their money.
The whole point is, because then once it gets into bankruptcy and litigation, if there was some blood to get from that stone, that goes to actual creditors before it goes to investors. That's the hierarchy that lending works with bankruptcy rules in this country and most countries, I'm assuming. So you and I would get our money behind other institutions that lent money or invested money because they pay it out based on those hierarchies and the amounts that are on like credit with them. Right. So the whole point is, well, fuck, I'm not going to wait for them to go bankrupt. It's first come, first serve. I'm going to shove you out of the way because I'm going to get my $50 before you get your $50. So because the savings and loan operated on such a razor thin profit margin, because the people who were investing in it were poor and they were building affordable, decent houses, but they were still fairly cheap, and the margin on the house was so cheap. The rates of the loan for the mortgage that they were giving out was so razor thin, so they were barely turning a profit, but just because so many people trusted them, they had enough business to keep going, right? But if you invested $50 and I invested $100 and that person invested, like Mr. Potter's bank, the numbers were higher, but the total quantity of people were lower, right? But he had such personal cash reserves that he could be the bank for the bank.
Right.
Up to a point, right? And so, but he also owned a stake in the savings and loans. And this is the part of it that I get confused by, because he didn't own a majority of shares in the savings and loan. So I don't get why he gets to make the call when they say, oh, if you close your door. Because the whole point is, like he says, if you close your doors, you'll never open again. Because he's going to vote to dissolve the savings and loan again at that point. But unless he thought that he had enough people in his pockets to go with his way to get more than 51% of the vote to do it, in which case he would end it. It would be dissolved. His controlling stake would absorb into his own personal holdings and the bank itself.
I do think that it was more so like almost as like an outside, right? Like he was like on the outside of it where...
no, see, it doesn't work that way. He can't be on the outside of it.
No, sorry.
His threat only works because he's on the inside.
No, listen. So I'm saying like he's on the when I say on the outside, like he's playing with the assumption that all of these people are pulling their money out and that they have no way of...
He sees them running across.
But they have no way of giving them their money without dipping into their cash. And
that's the thing is they kept such small cash reserves at the saving and loan because all of their money as money came in was being invested in building the house that other people would pay the mortgage for. So because they had no cash reserves to hand out, he offers up his cash reserves to be the bank. The same way that Potter is for the bank that he actually runs.
Right. So the thing is though, like by he was bringing it to the attention of I guess the creditors is the right word, so that they would swoop in and like shut this shit down, even if it's a strike against him, knowing that it would work, knowing that they wouldn't be able to pay for the call on their loan. And that's what I'm getting at, like where he's using, like he's taking a hit just to get it closed and get it out of the way. But
he's sacrificing a pawn so that he can gain.
Yeah, exactly.
Gain, you know what I mean?
That's why I think it makes sense, and like that he's under the assumption, like from the outside, thinking that all of these people are going to do this thing, and there's clearly logically there's no way that this wouldn't work, right? There's no.
But they are doing the thing though.
He can't account for the fact that he can't even fathom or account for the fact that George would have a stack of cash to pay these people out of pocket, not dipping into company funds.
Yes, but I mean, it's obvious at a certain point that that's what's going on. He just assumes that he's not going to have the fortitude to do it, or that he's going to be able to convince these people. You know, he convinced this person to take half, or this person to take 10% of it, or whatever, right? And leave a certain amount of it. You know, there's that one guy who keeps asking for was it $240?
Yeah. Oh, was it the woman next asked for $27 or something like that, and he gives her a kiss. That's so good. Yeah. Such a great scene. Oh man, how much money was it that he had?
He had a couple $1,000.
Right, and I thought about that after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, they were flush with cash going on this trip, right?
Well, it was obvious that they were saving, and also I think that they had contributions from other people too.
Yeah, that was like all the wedding money potentially, right? Because it seemed like they had handled the house and everything previously.
Yeah, and also like they got a lot of gifts, like because he gets the gift of the suitcase like earlier and all that. Like people would always like give them like stuff because of like how good people they were, right? And like. Kind of a long-term barter system, it seems like, right? Because the service here, I'm going to extend you a line that I wouldn't typically like extend there, like all that sort of stuff. And just them being good, decent, honest people who are always going to help you out.
Let's just pause for a moment to give a big nod to Mr. Martini, who is maybe the most underrated character in film history.
But yeah, at the end of it all, right? Like he's going to be able to recoup when they put their money back on deposit. He's going to be able to recoup some of that money, but only some of it. It's not going to be 1-to-1. It probably won't be 80 cents on the dollar.
Sure.
They lost money on all of that. And obviously, time value money, they're not getting interest on it on top of that. Like they're losing out on both physical dollars and the propensity to like earn more money on it on top of that if they had invested it at whatever rate, And to be honest, like who knows how long that bank run lasted. Like they might have been out of that cash for months before they got it back.
Right. It was such a heart that like in the movie of heartwarming things that happen. That whole thing where they open up like the whatever the village is called that they create, and when they move in, how amazing and uplifting is that scene when they're moving into the houses? I just love it so much.
Yeah.
They're giving them like the bread and the salt and everything like that. It's a great scene. Oh man. I really enjoyed it on this rewatch. I know I enjoyed it in the past, but I don't think I had ever watched it with like a critical eye, and I loved it. I'm frustrated at the end. Correct me if I'm wrong. At the end, Potter gets that like $8,000, right?
Yeah, they don't show what happens. Eventually, he's gonna have to turn that money back to them, like, because it's gonna create such a discrepancy, like, because he's not the type of person to be charitable with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's smart enough to know, much as he may want to, that he can't take the money because that's going to be a huge discrepancy on his books and his tax returns. And back then, tax rates were wildly different for rich people. Like, there was like well over a 50% tax on like people who were like legitimately wealthy. It's insane. So the money actually causes him more harm than good because he's going to then have to explain where it comes from, which will then become a criminal act. So his play was always just, if I hang on to it for a day or a week, they will fold. And then I can play Good Samaritan and be like, oh, I found this cash and I'm going to use it to like invest now that the savings and loan has been, closed. I'm going to buy it. We're going to take the seed money that we found and we're going to, and we're going to be great. We're going to build these lovely tenements for everyone. And all that, you know what I mean? Like, but like he can't really take them. I mean, honestly, because he's such a warped, frustrated old man, like he might have burned the money, to be perfectly honest. Like, because he can't take it. Like, there's no way to account for it.
Right. Interesting.
But realistically, because the building and loan survives, because everyone actually, I guess technically, answers answers like an unofficial margin call, right? They all give up the cash out of their own pockets to him to make up the shortfall. So, like, honestly, he might burn the money at that point because he's not going to give it back to him either.
Right. He is a warped, frustrated old man. Okay. Couple things. First, we haven't talked about Clarence at all, who was just tremendous. The angel. How about this? You know what? I was going to go in a different direction, but I'm going to circle back to this real quick. Clarence jumps off the bridge.
Help!
So that George will jump off the bridge and save him. The bridge that George was going to jump off of to kill himself.
Yeah, I've always been a little confused by that myself.
Okay. So was the act of suicide more of after he jumps, he's just going to let the water do what it does? Like, I don't really understand what the goal was.
That doesn't usually work that way. Usually you got to like tie a weight to yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, that was funny. The help, that was great. I love the idea that at no point does Clarence try to hide that he's an angel. On the contrary,
loud and proud.
He's being very clear about it, and George is like, "Okay, guy," like, which is just a great dynamic between the two of them. The whole angel getting its wings thing and the bell at the end, really great. If we want to talk about least favorite moments for a second, the shitty bartender pulling the bar on the cash register, going ding ding, being like, "Hey, look, everybody, I'm giving angels their wings." Like, that really bothered me.
But also, like, the old school, no one actually talks like this. Like, I swear to God, you say that one more time, and I'm gonna bust you. Like the fake like New York tough guy accent. Like, I don't understand. yeah,
that was weird. I do. It's cool to do the whole like Christmas Carol-y thing of like seeing a thing that could have been or is or was. It's the opposite, right? It's like alternate timeline versus future and past.
Yeah,
which I think was cool. I liked that. It takes George maybe a little too long to get on board with what's happening.
How many examples of these people that you've known for literally your entire life not recognize you do need to go through before you realize that like something's going on? Even if you don't buy in, like something is going on.
Like, when he walks through it and sees Pottersville, like, this is an incredible prank. Like, there's no way that it would have taken, that anybody would have went through this effort. Obviously, we're...
Right, like 10 or 20
anymore.
people pulling a prank on you and acting like they don't know you is much more believable than...
The whole time.
Wow, that entire development that I built is entirely different. Not just the sign was changed. Those nice houses are shitty little tenements.
Right. So, it all comes around. He finally understands what's going on. He's super happy. Runs home. He's happy to see Mary. He's happy to see the auditors. It's great.
Well, hang on
it's
a
a
second.
great scene.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
No, because this is my favorite scene in the movie.
Okay.
And there's a couple reasons. One, they do a parallel 2, even 3 times with, seeing it in normal circumstances, seeing it in his depressed alternate timeline, and then seeing it after the cocaine snort, right? And seeing that parallel, layered together of, this is what it looks like when it's terrible, this is when it looks good. And he's just saying hello to everything. Mm-hmm. Hey, street side, Hey, hey, whatever, Hey!
Yeah.
Hey, shitty post, whatever it was,
Yep.
Zuzu's pedals! Zuzu's pedals! He pulls it in his pocket. Yeah! Just straight. Honestly, it's phenomenal. The if you want to take the surface level of just the pure joy and elation, and if you want to go deeper into how it's paralleled and layered over top of the other times we've seen this exact thing, the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
All of that together is actually pretty great. Script writing.
And it's it leads right into, if that's not heartwarming enough, it leads right into the entire town of friends that he's built over time, just dumping money onto the table to pay for the issue. That's an incredible scene, including
the bank examiner.
The bank examiner, great. And also the guy, I don't know which character says it, but something that's George Bailey, the wealthiest man in town, because of all his friends. It was more, that was a callback, right? To being whole, not money not having anything to do with it, while this was a little bit of both, which was a cool thing. And then it dawned on me that the cop and the taxi driver's names, Bert and Ernie.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. So then I started searching around and realized, obviously I'm not the only one to make that connection. People have been asking this question for a very long time. And the official statement, if I understand this correctly, is purely coincidence. That Bert and Ernie were just what those Muppets looked like.
No,
I don't believe it at all. Don't buy it for a second. I think it's more about fear of copyright infringement.
I'm sorry. This Muppet looks like a...
Yeah, exactly. And an Ernie.
No. Just come out and say it. It's okay.
I actually think that's just rude towards Bert's and Ernie's alike. But anyway, It's a Wonderful Life is truly wonderful. I was a big fan.
It's a wonderful movie?
It is a wonderful movie. Do you have anything else? Any other closing thoughts?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
I think we did a better dive into this movie than we have on any movie in a while.
Probably, yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Flix and a Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixandasix@thespintune.com or tweet us @thespintune. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
And I'm yawning.
Thanks for coming out. Manda Watch. We're back with Manda Watch after a week off, so we've got 2 episodes to cover. Count them. 2.
and only one left, which we will obviously be covering about a week after it's done.
Heartbreaking. I'm not ready for this to be over. I'm very much enjoying this. I love it. If the holiday season wasn't something I already enjoyed, now it's just been amplified.
Having the Mandalorian at the holidays is kind of cool.
It's clutch, for sure. Here's the one problem. I don't remember specifically what happened in the episode before last. Can you give me a quick recap?
The tragedy.
Oh, God, that was really good. That was a great episode. How could I forget? Oh, man. It was incredible. And it did something that I thought, like, I hope was, like, intentionally comical, right? Which was, we got the true return of Boba Fett in the tragedy, right? However, true return of Boba Fett was like half of his outfit, slightly overweight, and with a skirt. And I think it was like this, just like the combination of this man with the helmet, the chest piece that looks like it was from a child's Halloween costume, and the bottom half of what he was already wearing, like the robes that he was already wearing, like combined, made for this amazing caricature of like, listen, you all pretended you loved this character, but he was never really a character. and now he is.
Well, that's right. I guess it's both excellent writing and also the ultimate fan service. Like, hey, you remember how you guys love this guy because he's badass? Well, he's not. But you know what? We're going to give it to you. We're going to finally make him be what you guys have him in your mind as.
We're going to give it to you, but it was our choice. That's like, if I had to guess an episode that was directed by Taika Waititi, I would have guessed it was that one because of that specifically.
I'm trying to remember who actually did direct it. That's why I'm a little bit thrown.
I'm not. I'll look it up in the meantime.
Rick Famuyiwa did this most recent one. He's done a couple of episodes already.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who did.
Oh, that was Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, that's right. Which really surprised me to see that.
Yeah. But it was a fun episode though. Like, it was super intense. Great production value. Like, that was
great production value in this is just a rock in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, well, yeah. They maybe phoned it in just a little bit on the kick of the boulder, but otherwise, I think it looked really great. Grogu on the whatever, the what?
The Seeing Stone.
They said the Thinking Stone. That was pretty cool. I do think we had mentioned earlier, like, oh, it seems like maybe Ahsoka won't return. It would be cool if they get themselves into a real tight bind by the end of the next episode, and Ahsoka and Ezra return. Like, that could be a cool way, like, to bail them out of whatever situation they're in to get Grogu. Like, that could be an interesting thing.
My guess is going to be that they're going to have to get themselves out of this situation themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get a very final scene or post-credit scene of Ezra, like, acknowledging their existence.
I hope so. That'll be really cool. Especially now that I'm like, I turned Rebels back on and I'm like burning through episodes. It's so good. I would really hope that that's the case. I don't know. It's exciting. Like, I'm super excited to see how they're going to wrap it up, but also so upset that that's it for until next year. Christmas of next year.
The reason I'm caught up on the whole Ezra thing is I just don't know who else it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're just going to give us a truly new character. But, like,
right.
It would seem that this is leaving open someone who exists. Whether it be someone we know is out there or not, maybe, I guess, possibly it could be someone that we never saw the result of whether they lived or died.
I think if I were to wager a bet, my guess would be more so that they do manage to escape and, oh wow, his name just escaped. Moff Gideon, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think that he might have to face a hollow version of Thrawn. I think that might be an ending fitting of the Mandalorian, like, reveals.
Well, no, I mean, I still think Thrawn is on the table, but my point is just Grogu connected with the Seeing Stone and connected with the Force. Someone has to hear that call. It seems obvious it won't be Ahsoka.
Sure.
Because if it was, she wouldn't have been so, like, obviously opposed to it. Like, she doesn't ever soften the way that Yoda does when he says he won't train Luke, or the way that Luke acts when he's going to train Rey, right? She truly just says no and walks away. Like, she softens in, like, how she's approaching it, but the answer is still no, definitively.
Yeah, like, no. I won't. I'm not
unless,
saying
like, it becomes, like, the Force calls to her and she truly believes, like...
Sure.
But, like, that would feel like a weird way to handle that. It feels like the whole point of the Seeing Stone is to bring someone into the fold, whether it be someone new or someone we already know.
I feel like Ezra is not going to be on screen in any fashion or mentioned until either like when's the Ahsoka one supposed to take place? Did we get a timeline on that? That's a spin-off, so I assume it's current.
It seems like it's going to be similar timeline, right? Where
I think so.
Because if we don't see Thrawn here, what I would guess would be the Seeing Stone connects us to Ezra, and her show, especially if it shows up. And do you remember like when it said it was going to release? Is it going to come out before the next season?
I don't remember when it said it was.
Because that would be what would make sense to me, is to have her show chasing down Thrawn, have it with her locating it, and then bringing the two shows together for the next season after that.
Yeah.
Kind of Defender style, where it's, okay, Ezra's back on the board, as is Thrawn, and we're going to let it, and, so it's Thrawn and Gideon versus, the Mandalorian cast of characters and Ezra and Ahsoka, right? Like, wouldn't that make sense? Some sense?
Yeah, I think so. When is the Obi-Wan show supposed to come about? Did we have a date on that or no?
When the show is literally going to be airing, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I still don't think they've started shooting it, so...
Oh, okay. Because then I was curious about, like, is the reach out to Obi-Wan? Like, does he hear the message and then pass it on?
But Obi-Wan's dead.
Oh, wait. What's the timeline of this? Oh, this is after Return.
This is 5 years after Return.
Never mind. Sorry. I was thinking... Yeah. Good point. There's two... That's... Honestly, that throws me off so many times of, like, wait, where am I right now? Like, I have to think about where in the timeline I'm at. Yeah, so I guess that makes sense.
So I will pitch one. I was doing a little bit of research here because I couldn't remember. I know in the Legends, the character died at some point. I thought he had still died in canon, but as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see, as far as I'm finding on Wikipedia, they don't have a time of death for him. I will read the final bit of his entry here as far as his biography. During the final days of the war, Redacted moved his Republic troops to Boz Pity. After the fall of the Jedi Order, Redacted was amongst those the Galactic Empire presumed to have survived the Great Jedi Purge. He would be a fit for this story in general.
He would also be a contractual fit.
Sure. And that character is Quinlan Vos.
Oh, I always thought you were talking about... The other thing that I have read was Mace Windu coming back.
No, Mace Windu is dead. I'm telling you. The canon, I don't care about the story group. Mace Windu is dead.
Okay. Well, anyway, the people seem to disagree with you. And I was thinking because of his ties with Disney for doing a Nick Fury show, that I thought maybe he would also be on the set for a potential Star Wars show, just on the business side of things.
Sure, but also realistically, he would be quite old.
Yeah, for sure. And mangled from lightning to the face.
Sure. and missing an arm.
Sure.
And
Quinlan Vos as you do man. When you're in Star Wars.
Yeah. Quinlan Vos was a much younger man than Mace Windu, so much more realistic for him to still be kicking around.
I don't know. Wait, hang on. What if we get some sort of... When was this? Timelines. No, we don't know where we don't know anything about his fate. I was like, what if this is a tie-in to Fallen Order? What if we get that character, yeah, to like somehow come in? We have an actor for him,
and considering they did mocap, he looks exactly like him. So
yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. I do think it will be something big, something more mainstream. That'll be revealed at the tail end of this episode, of the final episode, similar to like.
I mean, to me, obviously, like since this first came up with Ahsoka, Ezra is the only choice that makes sense.
Yeah.
Quinlan is more just because he's the only person I know technically still might be alive and might have any interest in any way, shape, or form of what's going on. And it's a name that like some characters are going to know, considering he was on Clone Wars.
Right.
As far as that episode goes, it was cool to see Boba in action. The scene with him shooting the rocket was a little bit cheesy, but still badass and cool.
Yeah. Seeing his ship in action versus just flying around a little bit here and there in previous things was really great. I think I'm thinking of the correct. Oh no, I might be thinking of the second of. No, never mind. I'm thinking of the next episode. There was a scene that really blew me away that I was excited about. That's in the next episode that follows this. But yeah, seeing it was cool though, just to see the outfit again and the more polished and vibrant was really fun.
Yeah. And also, it was interesting the whole thing, like watching the desperation, watching Grogu, and then seeing the Dark Troopers swoop in and grab him. Seeing again.
Well, what about Mando trying 12 times to get through the field and getting tossed? I know. It's
like, take a hint, bud.
Yeah, learn.
But then seeing on the ship at the end when he walks in and he is just torturing those fucking stormtroopers. I mean, it is concerning considering the whole thing Ahsoka said about him and his fear and his anger. Mm-hmm. We've already seen him go to the dark side before, like, to tap into the dark side rather, before when he was choking Kara.
Mm-hmm.
Then watching Gideon shit talk this adorable little child is hysterical.
Yeah.
Watching him brandish the Darksaber at him, like, I don't think we're quite ready for any of playing with these toys, is pretty great.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing I sent you guys the other day about?
Yes.
That was so great. I'm going to read it just so anyone
go ahead.
Listening didn't see it. So it was a picture of Moff Gideon kneeling in front of Grogu as Grogu is trying to go for nappy time, and he's ignited the Darksaber. It's a quote from Giancarlo Esposito talking about the episode. And he says, "My 4 daughters watched this, and obviously the world is like, it's the Baby Yoda show. And I'm never jealous or have any problem with that. But I have to say, 2 of my daughters texted me, and 2 of them called me and said, 'Papa, please don't hurt that baby. Don't hurt that baby.' And I said, 'I will squash that little big-eared bastard.'"
I love that. It's so silly. Just just the next level of that, bringing that back out to the real world. It's just really funny. Oh man, that's so good. But anyway, that ends in a tragedy, but also in what's pretty awesome is the agreement that's made is that no harm would come to the child, I believe, or something like that, right? If he gives him his armor back.
Well, not only that, but that he promises his and the child's safety.
Right. So that will continue on until they've regained the child, because the child disappears and he gets his armor back. So, which I really like. What I love about that is a couple of things. So first off is how important the armor is to him. That's one. 2, the fact that he's well within his linguistic rights to be like, we're done here. And so he's showing like there's a human side to it, or that is, while technically correct, not necessarily honorable. And it's like, you don't really know where he is on the spectrum of that, like which thing is driving that decision that he's going to help them reclaim the child. But I think it's really cool that they've joined the band of heroes for the show to, like, we love Grogu. Like, they all love Grogu. Grandpa Weathers loves Grogu. Everybody loves him. and now Boba Fett is going to help them reclaim him. And I think it's pretty exciting to see, to wonder like where that'll go in the final episode of the season.
Yeah. I do wonder. My brother was saying he gets weird about some of this stuff. He gets a bloodlust when you're coming up on finales of shows, seasons, and series. He's like, I wonder who's going to die in this episode. I was like, I mean, it's entirely possible no one dies.
Sure.
And
maybe likely.
Yeah. I don't know, if you had to pick someone as most likely, Grief, I guess, just because Carl Weathers is getting up there a little bit, and like he doesn't necessarily have a ton to do for the show anymore. Is it? I don't know. Could it be? No, I didn't say this, but I'm like, obviously Fennec Shand would be an obvious one. I wondered if Mayfield was going to stick around, but he doesn't seem to. But he could always pop back up in the next episode. Kara seems unlikely because it did seem like they're tipping her off to be in this Ranger show.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to be Grogu or Din. Could it be Boba Fett? Could Boba redeem himself and then immediately get returned back to death that we all thought he was in?
Or could it be Din and another Mandalorian takes up the mantle as the title character of the show? That would be a twist. I don't see that happening. I'm just saying that would be a twist.
For a lot of reasons, and also technically Boba Fett is not Mandalorian.
That's true. I don't think that anyone's dying.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone dies, but it's going to be like the least. Like it's going to be Fennec.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know how long like Ming-Na Wen's going to stick around, or like how important that character is. She gets like 2 lines an episode.
That's true. Yeah. I don't think. I don't know. I don't think that would be any of the other characters, right? Like I don't understand. I can't see a situation in which like Carl Weathers' character comes back into play based on the timeline and what they're doing, right? Like I don't see them going back to get him and then bring him into the fold for their plan for like...
Yeah, why not?
I just don't see it happening. It doesn't seem like it would. It seems like they're going directly for him in the next. Although they did have a calculated message that they said that way, so maybe they are getting all their friends. So it could be, including potentially Ahsoka.
Sure, that's my point.
Yeah,
it seemed to me Grief.
There's going to be a time jump between this and the final episode. It seems like, however long.
Yeah,
couple days, maybe a week or so.
It would have seemed that Grief would have been perfect to show up in this past episode when they look for the information as to where to find Gideon. There's obviously had a specific story they wanted to tell about Mayfield, whatever it is. And they, of course, they could have just had Grief there too, but eventually there's too many cooks. You know what I mean? Like you're already sidelining. You're already sidelining Fennec. Like she's there, but she's not doing much heavy lifting, right? Like Kara gets a couple of lines, but not much to do. Boba is given a little bit of an opportunity to shine, not as much in character development. This episode is the one before it, but still, this is obviously a big Din and Mayfield episode. So much so that it's incredible. This is the first episode in the entire run of the show in which we do not see Grogu for a single second.
Right.
Grief should have been there, but I think it's just at a certain point, like he's just going to be standing around in the background most of the time. Like, we don't have time for him to do anything. But for a bigger, probably longer finale, and because he's already expressed how important the kid is to him personally, you would think he'd want to join up, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, now that we're in that episode, it was so good. I was blown away. I thought it was so deep, and it kept bouncing back and forth in like where you should stand. Like the whole idea of they're driving this whatever transport to this shitty Imperial base, leftover Imperial base, right? And you have Mayfield. Right? Is
it Mayfield or Mayfeld? I keep
Mayfeld. Anyway, you have him. You have Boston driving, and you have the Mandalorian. Boston? Yeah, you have Space Boston driving, and you have the Mandalorian in with him. Their conversations back and forth, that character development between the two of them, without Din saying a word, for the most part, was actually really strong. And the whole, I'm just saying, we're all the same, great line. I thought that was amazing. The only thing that takes away from it is that he's the only person with a Boston accent in Star Wars. That's the only thing that makes it difficult, right? It's the only thing that breaks immersion a little bit. But it doesn't matter, because I think he's a great actor. I think he delivers really well. And
he is reflected very well on Vince Gilligan.
100%. 100%. And if only for... Dude, that scene where... we're talking Bill Burr, for those... If you're somehow listening this far and you don't know what we're up to in the episode, we're talking about Bill Burr as Mayfield, or Mayfeld, we're not sure. When he's sitting across the table from that Imperial officer with Din sitting on the end of the table, all of the acting that he does with just his face in response to every word that the Imperial officer says, like, it's heavy. And it's like, he does a really great job of like this person that was like forced to do these things by order and already maybe being on the outs of like, I don't think this is right, but feeling compelled by duty to have to pull them off, and then really then having to live with it as like it was his decision to carry out the orders that were given to him. Like, these atrocious war crimes. Like, it's a heavy episode. And I think that Bill Burr pulls it off tremendously.
Yeah, I didn't expect that sort of range, because, like, in the first episode he was in last season, he's basically just the wisecracking comedic relief, right? He does, obviously, some of that, and that's what he's going to be best at. But they give him a chance to soften and become a person. And, you know, you see some of the stuff is kind of cliche, stereotype, whatever. Like, not that it was bad, it's just, like, you know, kind of run-of-the-mill stuff. And then they give you a little bit more, they give it a little bit more, and it's like the whole thing he talked about with, you know, it's whatever you have to do to be able to sleep at night, you know, is good. And the kind of try to poke at him and his thing with the, oh, if you take the helmet, is it about taking the helmet off, scene, whatever, like, obviously important to set up what's coming later. To see the depth that he took and how serious he got in that scene is pretty incredible, just like as a testament to his range, testament to them giving him, like, extending him the trust to let him do it, like between script and direction, to give him the total heavy lifting where Din says like 2 lines that whole time when they're sitting down, and obviously it's a specific conversation between him and that commanding officer and all that. But I felt it. I believed it. I embraced what he was going on about. Like, it felt real to him.
Especially,
it felt real to me.
Especially when his emotions get the better of him and he shoots the guy. And I think that in that scene, both Din and Mayfield, they're both vulnerable and bolstered by each other, right? Like, they end up helping each other out of that tight spot. But like that, like, they probably could have gotten out of there or like waited it out and not escalated the situation. But there was such a rage building over the years inside of him, and Mayfield was able to like release that by killing that Imperial officer. Like, I think that was such a move. And then I love the scene where like they're basically done with that, and he looks away from Din and he goes, I didn't see your face, and like lets him put his helmet back on. Like, I think that was such a brotherhood moment, like where they both get each other. And like, while Mayfield's character is like questioning Din's loyalty to having the mask on, he's respecting him, right? And like, you're going on this journey, and like, you were just there for me through this. The whole, like, he looks away, he's like, I never saw your face. Like, that whole thing, that was super emotional. I thought that was a really great scene.
Well, because it finally reaches the point where he's like, okay, I pushed you, but it's not me who got you to do it, right?
Right.
And I'm respecting what it took you, because I'm mostly just here to be a dick and like poke fun at you. And it's like, oh no, I've known you for a long time. Like, I know what it means to you to keep that helmet on.
Yeah.
See you do it without hesitation when you needed to. Fuck. And I saw people complaining actually that this was the payoff, because they were, and like, I understand to a certain extent, they wanted it to be symbolic that maybe that Grogu would be the first one to see him, which is fair. But I'd seen some like complaint that this was like kind of felt like a little bit of a wet blanket on that whole situation. To me, I was like, no, like, just because he's not there in the moment, just because it's not like in the ultimate act of like saving him per se, to realize that he's making that choice because it's the only thing he can do at this point in order to take the next step to save him. Like, it still matters just about the same to me. Like, I think it's just as valid that way.
But we've seen his face before.
No, I know, but like the fact that other people saw it, you know what I mean?
Oh, other than the droid
that
blew himself up. I do think that there was something special about that where like it's interesting, right? Mayfield is, like you were saying, he's poking fun at him, but he's like letting him do his thing. But I do wonder, like, there's something about seeing his face, like, when Mayfield can't contain himself, it's written on his face, right? And the sheer desperation is written on Din's face. And I do think that they see it in each other, and that's why they're able to get through that scene together, that interaction together, and respect each other. Like, I get you. I understand that you're so emotionally, you're in such emotional turmoil from the things that you've had to do. Like, there's no, like, you don't need, like, I think that's where that decision happens, right? Like, they make it play out that it's when he blows it up that gave them like the clear, like, oh, we should let him go. But I think it was in that scene where he was like, you're punishing yourself enough for one lifetime that you don't need to be in prison anymore. Like, I think that, like, that's how I read it. And then the way that Mayfield sees Din, like the look on his face, like you said, like with it, like he got up to the machine. When the time came for it, he pulled his helmet off. And it's like, because he's on a mission, he's getting the kid back, and that's all there is to it. And that was a big scene. I read this thing. I wish I could remember where it was from, because I was like a couple of days ago. But it broke down Pedro's acting in that scene.
I have it. That's what I was looking for. I wasn't ignoring
Oh man, when he the whole, like, he does like a little bit of, like, he does like a stiff movement. He doesn't.
I'll read the whole
glance.
thing. This was on Reddit. It was on the Mandalorian TV subreddit. Watch carefully, and you'll notice that Pedro never uses his peripheral vision when he cares about what he's looking at. In this moment, it would be normal for his head to face a little to the left, but he's looking at Bill straight on, just as he would in the helmet. Bill looks back at him, but doesn't keep his head straight the same way. So you can compare it to the immediate next cut, the way Bill's looking at him while facing a little to the right. That's normal, but Pedro doesn't do that. A moment before, he's looking at the table while the officer talks, and then looks straight at Bill, almost off camera. After Bill takes his shot, he turns and looks straight at the trooper behind him, turning his entire body so he can turn his head to look straight at the trooper. Far as I can tell, he stays in character through the whole sequence, always pointing his head directly where he's looking. The strangest bit is when Bill hands him the helmet, and he looks down at it, but he doesn't just look down at it, he looks down at it with his entire head, like a bird. It's all very unnatural unless you've worn a helmet your whole life. Honestly, it's brilliant acting and direction. They care very much about the character, and that helps us care about him too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was super powerful. That was a great rundown of what's happening in that. It just makes the scene more impactful. But
yeah, because I hadn't really noticed it. I knew there was something about that scene. To me, I just read it as, oh, this is the first time that he's actually, like, the character has been without a helmet, and so he's just acting very vulnerable because he's used to having an outer layer protecting him from the world.
Right.
And also he's used to having a literal safeguard between him and his, like, the world. Like, from, like, a visual perspective as well. And now all of that's been thrown away.
Right.
Both from, like, the visual emotional standpoint and the physical safeguard as well.
Oh man, it's so good. But how awesome is that escape? I love when they kick the window out, they're climbing out, they've got the sniper support. Like, that whole thing was really exciting. And then the dive into the slave and flying away. And then, of course, we get I forget what that charge is called. Is it a seismic?
Yeah, the seismic charge.
When that sound effect, that iconic sound, it's like Star Wars sound effect, to see that boing, like, so good. Like, I was on the edge of my seat, like, gripping the couch, like, ready for it, because I knew, because of the way that always plays out, you know that it's going to take a second. You're going to see it first, and I was so excited to hear it. Just like, I turned the volume up, like, I was ready to go.
Star Wars sounds of all time.
Oh God, it's so good. I was very surprised that there was a lot of new screams as stormtroopers fell off the building.
Yeah, I noticed that a week or two ago, they've totally eschewed the whole Wilhelm scream, and they've come up with their own new scream. And it's the same. They're using the same sound over and over again, the way that the Wilhelm scream was, but it's a totally different sound now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just thought it was a funny note. But then the whole I love that scene. So they fly off to the side, they get off the ship. And they, what is it? Din and what's her name?
Kara.
They're having that conversation between the two of them as if Mayfield isn't there, and he's like, "Can can I leave? Like he's not really sure where this is going. Like, because I'm sure from his paranoid mind at this stage in his life, he's like, wait, are they killing me? Like, where, like are they gonna off me in the woods here? Like, what's going on?
It reminded me a little bit of True Lies when they're gonna let Carlos leave, and he goes, no, as soon as I turn my back, you're gonna shoot me. You know, like that's what it felt like, and they start shooting at his feet to get him to run.
Oh man, that's great.
Also, the very final scene is what I heard described as a wrestling promo when the Mandalorian sends this missive to Moff Gideon, which, I mean, he has to know he's going to try and come for him eventually, right? But like to let him know it's so immediate would seem like a waste of the element of surprise somewhat.
Well, I think part of it was like they had to know where he is to be able to send the message directly, right? And I think that shows on his face there's a little bit of fear. And I think that, I mean, Giancarlo Esposito, like, great actor. Like, he doesn't have a line in that scene, but it's dope. Like, he's doing it. He's giving 100%.
Well, it was obvious to me. I couldn't remember the exact lines, but I knew immediately that he was parroting back the lines that Moff Gideon first delivers in the finale of last season when he shows up, when he says, this thing is much more valuable than you could possibly imagine. I recognize that he was parroting back the majority of it.
Yeah.
But there's the subtle change of Moff Gideon refers to it as it, and he keeps referring to it as him and he.
Yeah. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow? No, 2 days. Friday. I'm excited for Friday. I've lost track of time. But
what even is time?
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the finale, and also it's going to be bittersweet because I don't want it to end. But I'm thinking, I think I'm about ready to just rewatch the first 2 seasons.
I didn't rewatch the first season before this, but I feel like I will want to rewatch the first 2 next year.
Yeah,
before the next season.
That feels right. That feels right. But yeah, this is what has rekindled my love and interest in like putting Rebels episodes on, which I actually, even though I'm exhausted, like I feel like I need to come down from this episode and watch an episode before I go to sleep.
I could see that. I was thinking earlier, maybe I could fire up like Cyberpunk and like create my character or something like that, but
no, that's a 17-hour process.
Yeah, well, that was kind of my idea. It's like, well, I don't have a chance to like actually play the game, and that's okay. Like creating a character and the backstory and getting the prologue set up. Like,
you gotta pick your face, you gotta pick your genitals, you gotta pick your genital size. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yes, so I really appreciated Brian sending me a picture of his character, the huge dong. Super important to my day.
Awesome.
But I have been awake for, I don't know, 18 and a half hours or something like that. Or
nice.
I might be doing that math wrong. I don't care. So I'm pretty tired. Luckily, I didn't fall asleep, which is great.
Well,
touch and go a little bit earlier.
I guess until next week, may the Force be with you.